Good evening, everyone. I see Jagdish Dhamija. Welcome all of you. Today is the today is the era of the information technology, and we all are facing uh, so much opportunities and challenges in this. So today we are with a webinar on the topic of opportunities and challenges in information system audit, which is organized by Digital Accounting and Assurance Board of ICI and hosted by Panipat branch of NIRC of ICI. I welcome all the keynote chairman of the Panipat branch, chairman of the committee, vice chairman of the committee, and all the person. Now I request chairman of Panipat branch, C. Ankur Bansalji, please give a welcome address. C. Ankur Bansalji is a qualified chartered accountant since 2005, and he is associated with many NGOs and other social services. Now I request C. Ankur Bansalji, please welcome all the delegates. Please, sir.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Jagdish, for this opportunity to welcome our guests tonight to the evening. I welcome you all in live webinar on opportunities and challenges in information system audit. I welcome CA Charanjot Singh Nanda, CC member and chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board. CA Dayanivas Sharma, CC member and vice chairman. Our honorable speakers for today's session, Mr. Avinash Gokhale and CA Rohit Narang. I am very thankful to Digital Accounting and Assurance Board for conducting webinar on such important topic, opportunities and challenges in information system audit.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request CA Charanjit Singh Nanda, sir, please address all the participants. I will give a brief profile of sir. Sir is, in short, I will say that sir is a powerhouse. If someone is feeling weak in personal life or in professional life, just have a touch with sir, and after 5 minutes he will feel a difference. Sir is at present, sir is a central council member of our 25th council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Sir is the chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board of ICI, Internal Audit Standard Board, Committee on Information Technology of South Asian Federation of India. Sir is also holding various position of chairman and vice chairman with various committees. Sir has given his services to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India since 1998. Sir has held many positions and he's given so many deliberation at various stages. Now I request C. Charanjit Singh Nanda, sir, please address to all of us. Thank you, sir.
Chairman Ankur Bansal was saying something and we stopped in between. So, Mr. Bansal?
Yes, sir.
You were saying, continue.
Sir, I was saying that, I was just saying that in the recent times of internet, the role of an information system auditor has increased a lot. The internet has not only created a lot of opportunities for us, but also has casted a huge responsibility on us. We, as a CA, must know how to overcome these challenges. I am quite confident that our speakers will provide us solutions today. I again congratulate Digital Accounting and Assurance Board for conducting this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Ankur Bansal, the chairman of Panipat branch, the host branch. C. Jagdish Dhamija, the moderator of the session. Two of the very reverend speakers, Shri Avinash Gokhale ji, Shri Rohit Narang ji. I can see the DAB people, DAB entire officials here, Amit Gupta, the secretary to DAB, and all who have come here to go home or enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, I'm sorry I'm speaking to you. I'm traveling from Gandhinagar, from Ahmedabad to Gandhidham. We have a seminar there. So it's a 6-hour drive from Ahmedabad to Gandhidham. But adventurous position. Earlier, we were accountants and people who got involved into management consulting and taxation may be direct or indirect. But times have changed. Now we have terms of IT. I mean what I say, we are leaders in terms of IT. Earlier days, CS wanted to know IT, but now with that, we are the first in the world to come out with forensic standards. जिनके आते नाते सलाम जो देते, आई अगेन रिपीट फॉर यू, जो देते नाते हमारी बात के जवाब उनके आने लगे हैं सलाम। वक्त बदला तो मेरे नीम पर आम आने लगे। Please appreciate, we have now reached a stage where the entire universe looks upon us for guidance in terms of technology. Institute is fully poised of the fact that it has to put across a knowledge base wherein all the membership is trained in technology. Technology gives us three benefits. Number one, you don't look at samples, you take care of the entire database. Number two, it is an error-free proposition. Number three, computer don't have wives or husbands. They don't have religions. They don't celebrate festivals. And therefore, day and night they work, technology works day and nights and gives us the desired result at the desired time. Coming on to information system audit. With technology all across, information system audit is the greatest tool which we have in our hands to ensure that reporting is up to the mark and all financial statements are drawn at the highest level of accuracy. I would like to tell you on record that your board, along with AASB, Accounting and Assurance Standards Board, have prepared a guide which we passed yesterday in the council. It is a guidance on digital assurance. You will be happy to know whatever an auditor does that can be digitally verified, may it be turnover, it is through GST. If it is employees, it is through PF. If it is exports or imports, it is through GDFT. You can look at ICE Gate. So there are so many opportunities of understanding, except two things. One is depreciation and second is employee benefits. Other than that, everything can be digitally verified. So we are now moving at a stance where with our hard work, our indulgence, and more important, our technical impetus holding of such programs, we hold program of DAB every Friday. And every fortnightly we hold it with SAFA, Southern Asian Federation of Accountants, with close to 8 countries joining in. Last time we had more than 2,500 members logged in for the program. Today, after half an hour, you'll know I also am very happy. Today also number of people would have logged in. So as an institute, as a board of institute, we are keen to ensure that we tell our members how to do technology audit, how information system audit can be done and add value to the perspectives of the management or the audit committee as maybe. We serve our clients, we serve our stakeholders, but at the same time, we are responsible to the regulators and to the government. And information system audit will ensure that in a very impartial way, we are able to conduct audits which will ultimately be beneficial for the cause of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy and I wish this conference a great success under two very revered speakers, Mr. Gokhale and Mr. Narang. And more importantly, I want to invite you all to get involved into the activities of the board. DAB does so many things. Apart from holding program, it is now revising it is now creating guidance on forensic audit. Anybody amongst you who's keen to join that, as the chairman of DAB, I am very ready, very happy to invite you, very happy to take you on board so that we are able to effectively add value to all the perspectives which the institute is taking. Not taking much of your time, I would thank the Panipat branch under the able chairmanship of Mr. Ankur Bansal for hosting this program and Mr. Hamija for mastering it in the highest of the order. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to Dameja ji. The dice is all yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your words are highly motivated for everyone and always. Thank you. Vice Chairman of the DAB, CA Dayanivas Sharma sir, will join us very shortly. CA Dayanivas Sharma sir qualified in 2005 and sir has done his articleship from PwC Hyderabad. Sir has it 20 more than 20-year experience in the field of accounting, auditing, corporate restructuring, valuation, due diligence, and in many other areas. Sir is an elected member of the Central Council of ICI for the period 2019 to 22 and 22 to 25. Sir is also holding various positions of chairman and vice chairman of various committees. Most importantly, he has been instrumental in taking the firm into international arena and developed working relationship with different countries and 5 cities nationally. This group is one of its kind to be called as Indian multinational firm or Make in India firm of chartered accountant. This is a very proud moment for our ICI. He has been covered by a coffee table book and recognized as Young India Visionary by IMG Innovation Media Group in Hall of UAE. He has taken session and seminar on 23 plus topics and many others. So I welcome sir. Sir is not there. Okay.
He's not there. He'll be joining shortly. You can ask the speakers to take the session forward.
Okay. I welcome Avinash Gokhale, sir, the eminent speaker of today's session. Sir is a BSc Technical, DAM, DCM, CISA, ISO 27001 2005. Sir has done his BTech from Chemical Engineering, Diploma in Computer Management from SIS Institute of Management, Diploma in Administrative Management from Bajaj Institute of Management, Certified Information System Auditor of CISA, ICASA, USA, ISO 27001. Sir is empaneled with over 20 years with Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. So we are very proud that sir is with us and we are going to gain so much knowledge from Gokhale sir. So sir, please start your deliberation. Avinash Gokhale sir, please.
Thank you all and good evening to everyone. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's perfect.
Very much, sir. Please go ahead, Mr. Gokhale.
Yeah. So I am very much thankful for the DAB for giving me the opportunities and challenges in information systems audit. I have taken a small liberty of modifying this topic and adding opportunities and challenges in information systems and security audit. So security also I have added because system audit and security audit, they go hand in hand. So this is my introduction, which already has been given. So I will not spend time on this. Last 22 years, I am in the field of information system audit and security. And I am also a faculty for DISA course, Institute of Chartered Accountants, last 22 years. Again, CISA course for ISACA, last 22 years. And CAG, Government of India, for again, from 2004 onwards. And I work as a freelance IS audit security and training professional and associated with CA firms for last 22 years. You can say, even though I am not CA, I am a chemical engineer. You can call me half CA because both the children are CA. And last 22 years, I am associated with CAs only. So I consider myself as a half CA. I know all the pains and the efforts taken by the CAs to first of all pass CAs and then establish practice and then grow in their practice. This is the disclaimer which I put in every presentation that in my presentation, if there are any references to websites or brands or companies, they are only for the training purposes or illustration purposes. And the opinions and views presented, they are of mine. And instead of chartered accountants or DAB or any bodies of ICI, they are not directly responsible. These are my views. So this is what I have slightly modified the opportunities for CAs in system audits and security assignments. So I have taken small liberty of modifying that. And then challenges in system audits and security assignments. Because I am a technical person and last 22 years doing system audit and security, the orientation of my session is from the perspective of information technology and information security. Please feel free to ask questions as per the discipline of the webinars. You can ask questions maybe later on or on the chat windows so that I can answer to your whatever are your queries. Whatever comes to your mind, please feel free to ask me any question, because this topic is very huge and there are a lot of recent technological happenings and so many things are to be discussed. So first of all, let us talk about the opportunities for the chartered accountants in the area of system audit and information security. Many of you may be already doing system audits or some similar kind of assignments, but still some of you may not be aware about the various system audits and security assignments. So I have included all the possible system audit areas and security areas in my session. So this is the traditional areas of CA practice. I have put down these points from my last 22 years experience of working with CA. So direct and indirect taxation work, internal audit work, statutory audits, concurrent audits, accounting management, management consultancy, wealth management, and many other areas which I might not have listed over here. And the recent area, when I say recent, last 20 years, you can see, is the area of system audit and security assignment. And this area has become very much in the forefront in last 10 years after the rampant uses of internet for the business applications and especially mobile phones also. From 2009 onwards, when smartphones were introduced, after that, the usage of the information technology has been grown. And now almost all the companies, small, medium, large, they are using the information technologies for doing their business transactions. So this is just one slide I have included as to what is the meaning of systems audit, or for that matter, any audit. So any audit, whether financial or system audit or structural audit or anything, it guarantees or try to assure the companies these four things: safeguarding of assets. And when we are talking about the information systems, the assets are hardware, software, data, people, and business processes. Maintaining the data integrity, that is accuracy, completeness, and uniqueness of the data and processing. Effectiveness, that is achieving the organizational objectives. And efficiency, how this effectiveness can be achieved in an optimum way. So these are the four objectives of any audit. Plus, for security, we call it as a CIA triad, ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That is confidentiality to the authorized user. That means data should not be seen by any unauthorized users or seen or accessed. Integrity and availability to the official authorized users whenever required. And as I said, that since relatively this area is last 22 years, the system audit is not similar to financial audit, because here we have to do some consultancy and advisory work also, because even IT people are not aware as to what a system auditor is going to check, how he is going to audit, what is meant by controls, and why the audit of the information system is taking place. And therefore, many a times we are not only doing audit, but we are also giving them recommendations, suggestions, and sort of a consultancy and advisory work. Other names for this system audit is information system audit, or IT audit, or EDP audit, or security audit. Many different different terminologies are used for the system audit. Suppose if any scope is not given by the auditee organization, specific scope is not given by the organization, then the audit will consist of these 5 or 6 areas which we have to cover during the system audit. First one is application systems, for example, core banking software, or SAP, or any other kind of a software, that is application system, which is used for processing the business transactions. Second is the data. All types of data we have to audit: structured, unstructured data, audio data, video data, data in database management system, etc., etc. Infrastructure, which consists of hardware and operating system. Facilities, where the data center or disaster recovery center is of the company is there, like civil structures and other things like computer stationery also. They also come into the facilities area. People, because ultimately, even though it's application systems and hardware, everything, ultimately people are going to operate, administer these application systems, and therefore people are liable to make omissions and errors and mistakes, or purposeful mistakes. So therefore people also we have to consider in the auditing. And lastly, the processes, business processes, because ultimately business processes are computerized, which result into application system, and they process data by using infrastructure, and that is done by people. So therefore this is the relationship between the various IT systems. What is expected from IS auditor? I have given here only 5 points. There are many other points. The first one is competence, and competence consists of the relevant experience in the area which he or she is going to audit, knowledge how to conduct the audit, and knowledge of the subject area. Skill, that is, for example, how to collect evidence, or how to interview people, or how to test a system. So skills are also very important. Behavior, auditor, because auditor is like a judge, the behavior of the auditor is also very important. The people should not complain about the auditor. Of course, you are all chartered accountants, and therefore you know all these things. I'm just stressing them again. Performance and goals. So these are the competence related terminologies. And here also we have to, in system audit also, we have to continue the professional education. So CP is necessary, and more so in information systems, because every day or every 3 months the technology is changing, and changing very fast. Whatever we were doing 5 years back or 10 years back, we are not doing now. Identify risks and control. So therefore risk-based audit approach is world over, which is nowadays used. I will explain what is that risk-based audit approach also. Observe independence and professional due care. And auditor is a watchdog, and he may not be doing fraud detection. Even if the auditor detects during the normal course of audit that he or she suspects that there is a fraud, then maybe a separate, the work order, or he may have to expand the audit scope, and then he may have to include the fraud investigation, provided auditor is capable of doing that. So this is what is expected of the system auditor. Now, in system audit, similar to financial audit, it consists of 3 stages. The first one is audit planning. And for information system audit, this audit planning is very, very important, because you can't just start the information system audit overnight or within 1 week. We have to tell the auditing company what are our requirements, what do we require. For example, are we going to test? Then if we are going to test something, then we will require a test site. Okay. If we are going to see the re-performance of the work, then we have to tell them that we will be also doing the re-performance of the work, etc. So therefore, audit planning is very, very essential and very, very important area. I will not be going into details of that because our topic is different. Second phase is that once audit planning is done and once the auditee and auditor are ready, then we will be doing going actually to the field, and we will be carrying out the field work and the documentation like work papers, evidence collection, physical walkthroughs, logical walkthroughs, etc., etc. So this is the second phase. Now, during the last 2 years, when COVID was prevalent, all the auditors and even IS audits we were doing online, remotely. Even still, it is continuing partly. That is, partly we go in person, partly we do online, and this is going to be continued. So when I say field work, it may not be necessarily going to the site. It may be offsite also. And the third stage is reporting and follow-up. That is, we have to prepare a report because our deliverable of the audit is the report or the audit presentation, whatever we are going to submit. So therefore, reporting is very, very important. And the follow-up, that is, the auditee will be complying with whatever are our findings. And we have to follow up these, that whether these findings are being complied by the audit, maybe in the next phase or maybe separately going to the for checking the compliance. But these three are the main phases of a system audit or any audit. So this is a risk-based auditing. This is the approach which is given in the ISACA, Information System Audit and Control Association, which is the premier institute world over, which does the research in information system audit. So in this risk-based audit approach, more or less similar things are given what we discussed in the last slide. So gather the information and planning, obtain understanding of internal controls, perform compliance testing, then perform substantive testing, and then conclude the audit. So this is what is the risk-based audit approach which we have to follow in the system audit. And in all the system audits, we follow this particular approach, risk-based auditing approach. Even the companies are also doing risk-based management. So they also more or less are doing the same thing. So they also gather the information about what areas are risky in their companies. So therefore, for auditing also, we follow this risk-based auditing approach. Now, what are the system audit areas? All these areas mostly I have done in last 22 years of my experience. But I have given here the first slide. These areas I have given in the order of preference for CAs. So chartered accountants will be doing, or they should focus on these areas of information system audit. The first one is the most important, and I think in financial audits also you are doing this, partly you are doing this application audits. So here, what is expected from the auditor is that the application software will be given maybe on a test site, and then auditor has to verify the functionality of the application system by entering his or her own test data. For example, suppose in banking, there is an interest calculation or there is an NPA calculation. Then auditor has to verify that really the software is doing the interest calculation correctly or not, or NPA calculation is being done by the software correctly or not. And like this for banking software also, and for any other software, ERP systems also, hospital software also, and education software, all the areas, this application audits is the major area for the chartered accountants. And there is a tremendous demand for these application audits, because application audits have now just started. Last 10 years, you can say application audits have started. And expert CAs, or the people who are doing these application audits, are very scarce to find. And therefore, since you are a domain expert, this is one major area which you can think of undertaking, especially those who are younger chartered accountants. They can think of undertaking this particular area. Second one is UAT audits. UAT is user acceptance testing. So here the users test the system. okay, by entering their own test data. And other types of testing also are carried out. So therefore, auditors can be asked to perform UAT. Okay, as an auditor, I have performed UAT also. Plus, auditors can be asked to perform UAT audits also. That means whatever UAT has been carried out by the users, they ask auditors that you please come and check whether our users have carried out the UAT audit correctly or not. Now I am going to start one assignment wherein I am going to do this UAT audits. And for that, I am going to require the help of chartered accountants. So therefore, that is another area which is very important. Third one is logical access control reviews. That is how user access management is done, how user is created. And that user creation is called as a user provisioning. So how the user provisioning is done, how the user is retired or disabled, etc., etc. So this is called as logical access controls review. IT purchases and AMC contracts. This is a usual area which you might be undertaking in financial audits also, because purchases is one of the major area of financial audits. The next area, that is outsourcing, is on the rise. Recently, I have seen that most of the banks and most of the companies, they are heavily dependent, especially for IT systems, they are heavily dependent on the outsourcing. So in outsourcing, we call outsource party as a third party, and that third party further outsources. So we call it as a fourth party. Okay, so therefore outsourcing also is very important. And here we have to check the SLAs, the agreement, and whether penalty clauses are there, whether the clauses of inspection and audit are put in the agreements, and so on and so forth. Next area is that way simpler area, physical and environmental controls. So mainly we will be visiting the data centers, and there we will be checking how the entry to the data center is restricted and where the servers are kept, and how in general the data center is protected from the physical security and environmental security, such as fire, floods, earthquake, etc., etc. IT management, audit of IT management. So here, the management, there are three areas: governance and management. So governance is the senior management, that is board of directors and CEO and CFO, etc., etc. These are called as senior management or top management. And then there is a middle management, and then there is a lower management and operations. So therefore, we have to carry out the management of, audit of IT management. And in that, we will be checking various things. For example, budgets for IT or IT security, how the budget is consumed, and whether it is consumed or not. And, all the other, whether committees are there of the senior management, so that the senior management also should be well aware about the risks and hazards of and security hazards of the using information technology, and so many other internet applications and mobile applications, and so on and so forth. Then business continuity planning and disaster recovery planning. So as to business should continue, and therefore business continuity planning and disaster recovery planning are the other major areas where the CAs can contribute a lot. All these areas are not that way very technical, and therefore I have listed them first in the order of preference. Business policies, IT policies, security policies, SOPs, etc. That audit also is required, because ultimately what is going to happen is the company will have policies which shows the intent of the senior management. Then these policies will be implemented with the help of procedures. So therefore, and then there will be practices, actual practices, what are followed on the shop floor. So therefore, we have to, as an auditor, we have to audit the policies also, whether policies are correct. We have to audit the procedures also, and we have to audit the practices also. So here also, chartered accountant can contribute a lot, because they understand policies, they understand SOPs, and so on. Then various types of compliance audits can be undertaken by CAs. For example, RBI, there are a lot of circulars of RBI are there, and RBI keeps on issuing circulars and various rules and various guidelines they are issuing. So compliance of that they can undertake. In case of certification audit, ISO 27001 is an audit which chartered accountants can definitely undertake. They can undergo a course of ISO 27001 because without you becoming certified as a lead auditor for ISO 27001, which is called as ISMS, you cannot conduct the audit. So your DISA or CISA or any other qualification will not permit you to conduct the certification audits, because certification audits have to be conducted by that by undergoing and acquiring the certification, and then you can conduct the certification audit. I was with BSI for 7 years for conducting ISO related audits. SLAs and agreements audit. This is also becoming very important. SLAs, as I said, that most of the companies are outsourcing, and therefore SLA and agreement audits is also very important activity. These are other areas which are also very, very important, and chartered accountants can undertake these areas. For example, end user computing for first one. Now, lot of end users, they are developing their systems based in Excel, or they are learning programming and they are developing their systems, whatever they require. I have experienced that many, especially mutual funds, insurance companies, and banks also, many of them writing Excel-based macros and Visual Basic, etc., etc. So that is called as Visual Basic programs, scripts in the Excel. So that is called as end user computing. So audit of end user computing is also another area which CAs can undertake. IT operations, they can definitely undertake, because IT operations, they will be able to understand. Awareness and training of IT and IT security. This is also nowadays required as per the RBI, IRDA, SEBI guidelines, that senior management, employees, outsourced parties, etc., they should be aware and they should be trained in IT and IT security. Now, we are entering into the fourth generation or fifth generation of computerization, and therefore many systems are getting migrated. Okay, and therefore this is another very important area, migration audits. That is, from the old system, okay, the companies or banks are migrating to a new software. And for that migration also, many banks and RBI and SEBI, etc., they have said that migration audits, data conversion audits should be conducted. And therefore, this is also one of the area which auditors, chartered accountants can undertake. Nowadays, many companies are migrating towards the cloud-based system, and therefore cloud-based audits are coming up. And those, especially fresh chartered accountants or younger chartered accountants, they can learn cloud systems or cloud computing, and they can also go for the audit of the cloud-based systems. Now, these are slightly technical areas. Network management. So network management also can be audited, and because all the application systems are working on the networks, and therefore network management can be undertaken. There are many types of logs, and therefore log reviews is one of the major area. These log reviews will be done by the company management also, but auditors also on a sample basis, log reviews auditors also can conduct. Because the logs are very huge, and therefore complete analysis of logs may not be possible. Nowadays, in most of the companies and banks, there is what is called as a business intelligence unit, BIU, and they churn out many MIS and decision support system. Okay, so therefore this is one area. So final reporting of any systems, application system, may not be in the core banking or may not be in the main application. That is only a transaction capturing application. But this transaction captured application, whatever transactions are captured, are supplied to some other software. And through that software, the MIS and DSS reports can be prepared. So therefore, this is one area where audit chartered accountants can be very useful, and they can undertake this area. ERP audits, especially for manufacturing company, most of the companies are using SAP or Oracle Financial, and this is very big area. And here also chartered accountants, so those who are especially in manufacturing industry or in similar kinds of industry, they can undertake this ERP audits. Forensic accounting and fraud detection. So this is also another area where and as our chairman just now said, that there is a course of our institute, and I'll just show you. The link is visible. My screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you see, this is our institute's certificate course on forensic accounting and fraud detection. Okay. So therefore, this also chartered accountants can learn, and they can also conduct these kind of audits also. This is another very important area, but slightly technical, database management, because the data will be stored in the database management systems. Later on, I will explain what, as a chartered accountant, what you have to learn. So there you will understand. But database management audit also can be carried out. Source code audit will be very tough for chartered accountants. I have just included that because in one of my audit, there was one chartered accountant, my colleague, and we together carried out this source code audit. So therefore, it is possible for chartered accountant, provided he or she is motivated to learn technology. Source code audit also can be conducted, wherein the actual source code of the software will be checked line by line. SDLC audit is software development lifecycle. That is how the software is purchased or how the software is developed, how it is tested, how feasibility carried out, etc. All those things can be checked by the chartered accountants. This SDLC audits they can undertake. Website audit is a technical audit, but if you are motivated, you can undertake a website audit also. And now this privacy audit is, which is another area which is coming up. I have acquired one certification from ISACA called as CDPAC, and our privacy bill of India is also coming up. So therefore, this is another area, privacy audits. They can be, chartered accountants can definitely undertake privacy audits also. Now, these are, as I said, that I have taken liberty of modifying the system audit to security audit also. These are specialized audits. However, those who are technically motivated, because many young chartered accountants, they are motivated with technology. I have seen many of them in my DISA courses and in my experience. So therefore, they can undertake this technology audit. And later on, I will show you, I'm going to cover how to learn technology. So that also I'm going to cover. So here, internet mobile application audit, security architecture audit. This is a certification audit, payment card industry data security standard. Okay, again, a separate certification is required for this. Vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This is called as VAPT audits. Audit of security operations centers, and there is a security information and event management system. So that can be undertaken. Cyber security audit, mobile applications, and other security audits can be undertaken. But again, as I said, that these areas, only those chartered accountants who are motivated and try to learn technology, for them this will be, these are the areas. So there is, areas are tremendous. Scope is tremendous, and scope is not decreasing. It is increasing day by day. So therefore, scope is there. It is now left to you, that you have to take interest and you have to develop this practice. I'm coming to that also, how to develop the practice. That also I'm going to give you some ideas. So these are the certifications which are there for the CAs, and I urge all of you who are not already DISA or CISA qualified to take these certifications. So this is the DISA certification of our DAB. Okay, there are many certifications, but if you see, this is Information System Audit certification of the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board. So you can go for that. Then this is a CISA and CISM and CDPSC certifications from ISACA. So you can undertake these certifications also. And then ISO certifications also are there. This is one thing which I want to urge chartered accountants, because I have found in my last 22 years that chartered accountants are usually not very good in handling projects. Okay, so therefore, project management certification, for example, PMP or Prince2, which is a UK certificate, this I urge all the, especially younger chartered accountants, to take this certification. This will teach you how to handle projects, because ultimately audit or anything is a project. So therefore, resource management, project planning, etc., all these project related activities, you will nicely understand if you do this project management. Then there are ISO 27001 or ISO 20000, which are service-oriented industry. Cybersecurity certifications, as I said, if you are motivated, then you can go for that. And very recently, cloud-related security certifications also can be undertaken. Maybe they are not generic, they are specific, like AWS, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft's platform is called as Azure. So that you can undertake. So if you see here, these are a list of computer security certifications, which is a wiki page, lot of certifications which they have given. And let me tell you that, of course, you may not go to this link, because there are many certifications and you will get confused. So I have listed here those certificates which are chartered accountants can undertake, especially, as I said, DISA, maybe any of these, and project management. Now, there are some important bodies which you have to read and refer to again and again for system audits. I am sure that for your financial audit, you must be referring to some of them, but some I have put here from the system audit perspective. Of course, your institutes, ICAI site. Now, there is a certain, I'll show you the website, as per the IT Act clause section 70B. Okay, any kind of computer emergencies which are happening in various countries, this computer emergency response team has been given the authority as per the IT Act to handle all these computer emergency response team. And they are empaneling the auditors, and these auditors can get various certain related audits. However, this certain empanelment is quite technical, and you may have to join hands with some technical company or technical people to acquire this kind of certification. So let me just quickly show you. This is the certain Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, and they release many of the advisories, security advisories, and which are in turn then released by the RBI, SEBI, IRDA, etc. Okay, so they first know what are the security issues and what are the flaws in the software and so on. So this is as per the IT Act, and I'll just show you this section of the IT Act also. So if you see here, this is section 70B of Information Technology Act, Indian Computer Emergency Response Team to serve as a national nodal agency for incident responses. So any cybersecurity related incidences are to be reported, and they have this empanelment of the what you call as empanelment they do. For example, here, if you see here, somewhere in this you will find the empanelment of various firms and so on. Then Reserve Bank of India, IRDA, SEBI. This is again Government of India's initiative, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So they also have a lot of directives and guidelines issued. And this is the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, which is the final body of information technology controlling in our country. Then ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association. This is America's National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is a very good site and a lot of free guidelines, best practices, etc. are available on this site. And there are many more. I have listed only few of them. Now, system audit is not the only area which the chartered accountants can go for. There are other areas which are related to system audit, but not directly system audit, wherein the chartered accountants can contribute to a very great extent. Okay, in my last 20 years of audit experience, I have always felt that if the softwares are developed with the help of chartered accountants and domain experts, okay, the softwares will be less error-free. They will be error-free and, they will be more useful. Okay, many technology companies like TCS and, many other Wipro, etc., they have chartered accountants and they participate. But for smaller firms or medium level firms, these areas which are other than system audit are also very, very important. For example, you can participate in domain expert and subject matter expert in software development. And I have seen many chartered accountants who are doing this. Participating in system controls and controls designing. Okay. For many chartered accountants, they are also designing the controls because they know what are internal controls, etc. And therefore, they can better design. Of course, in consultation with IT people, I'm not saying that they will be independently doing this, but IT people and domain expert, if they come together, then the design of the controls will be definitely much better. Business analyst and system analysis, they can participate. This is another area which is not much technology is required. UAT and other types of testing, not audit, but UAT, conducting UAT and application testing. This also auditors can participate. This is another area which is coming up, data analysis. And let me show you. Your institute's own certificate, okay, on data analytics using Power BI tools. So there are a lot of courses which are undertaken by your institute. But unfortunately, my last 15-20 years experience is that for some of the courses, it is very difficult to get even 5 participants. I used to teach advanced Excel and visual programming for Excel earlier, but we were not even getting 5 participants in Mumbai. So therefore, but of course, now definitely the scenario must have changed. But this data analysis course also and data analysis area is also a very big area which chartered accountants can definitely undertake. Quality checking on audit reports. This is also required nowadays because audit reports are not of that very high quality, some of the audit reports. And therefore, this quality checking on audit reports is also very essential. Another area which is coming up is called as a certifying authorities, but I'm not sure whether chartered accountancy firms can become certifying authorities. So you have to probably get clarification for Institute of Chartered Accountants. So I'll just show you what are these certifying authorities. So these are all the certifying authorities in India. They issue the digital certificates and all those things. So I am sure that CA firms can opt for this or intermediary, that is called as registering authorities for these. So these are all the certifying authorities in India. So I'm sure that bigger CA firms or mid-level CA firms, definitely when the digital certificates and digital signatures will rise, the turnover, then definitely CA firms can go for this certification, licensed CAs. I'm not much conversant with that. Maybe you have to get clarification from Institute of Chartered, your institute. Now, these are the major sectors where IS audits are carried out, and I have carried out IS audit of each of these sectors. All the sectors I have carried out some or the other audits. The major is, of course, banking and finance sectors. So all types of banks, cooperative banks, private banks, public sector bank, credit societies also I have carried out audits. finance companies, fintech companies, then payment aggregators, insurance companies, insurance brokers, stockbrokers, stock exchanges, software industry. I have carried out audits. So software industry also needs a lot of auditors. Healthcare industry, I have carried out a couple of hospitals audit, and this is another area where a lot of issues as far as information technology is concerned are there. And therefore, here also we can participate, and chartered accountants especially can undertake these audits. Manufacturing sectors, that is ERP audits. Education sectors, for example, schools, colleges, universities, classes, education software makers, all these are now going to require audits. Okay, so therefore, this is also one area. Agricultural industries, I have carried out, one of my friend is a grapes exporter, and I have set up IT systems and audit and security systems for him. So this is another industry where the CAs can look into for the IS audits. I have just listed some of these. I mean, mostly all these sectors which I have listed here. So these are the major sectors in which the system audits can be conducted. So these are various opportunities, but now these opportunities are there. And as somebody said that, one successful person was asked that, how are you successful? What is the secret of your success? So he said that I jumped on the opportunities. So then the interviewer asked him that, how did you know that this is an opportunity? So he said that I didn't know. I kept on jumping. Okay, so you have to keep on jumping and you have to face the challenges. You don't know when IS audit work will come your way, and you should be ready at that time. Otherwise, also, I mean, if you have decided not to go in system audit area, continue with your whatever your practice you are doing. Even for that, also, what I am now going to cover challenges and what IT you should learn. That will be important for even if you decide to continue in your financial audit career. Now, these are the security baseline areas which have been given by Reserve Bank of India. I have included them, 14 areas. So what RBI says that if you undertake these 14 areas, okay, and if you make these 14 areas error-free, or if you conduct audit in these 14 areas, then the company or the bank can be said to be very good in information technology usage and information security. And these areas are not very new. Inventory management of business IT assets. So this is we have to look into. Preventing access of the unauthorized software, that is all licensed versions of the software should be used. Environmental and physical controls, network management and security, configuration of all the servers, routers, firewalls, etc. They should be properly secured. So secure configuration. Antivirus should be present, scanned regularly, and auto updation should be ensured. Patch management. So whenever a software is developed, it is not error-free. Okay. And because of various technological advancement, people changes, processes changes, therefore changes to the software keep on happening. And that changes to the software is called as a patching of the software. So there are two kinds of patches, functionality patch and a security patch. So this also we have to check during the information system audit, or we have to ensure that this patching is proper. User access and user access control and management. Secure mail and messaging system, especially SMS, email, and use of social networking platforms and so on. This is on the rise, and therefore this is a major security threat to the businesses. Removable media, USB drives, and so on. User, employee, and management awareness on securities, because everything is security. Therefore, top management also has to be security trained properly. RBI has a KRI, key risk indicator, that how many of the directors, 100% directors have to undergo security awareness training quarterly. Okay. So therefore, this is also another major area that is security awareness training for senior management, customer education and awareness. So customers also, that's why you are receiving messages from banks that don't click on, untrusted link and so on and so forth. So this is customer education, backup and restoration of the data and systems, and vendor and outsourcing risk management. So what RBI says is that if you are good in these 14 areas, they call it as a IT security baseline. So if you are good in this 14 areas, then you can be assured that you are good in your IT system. So as an auditor, we have to check these 14 areas. Now, the main problem or the main challenge for CAs, I have listed it here, all these challenges. How to learn technology? That is a very big question as to how to start, how to learn technology. Which area of technology to be learned? Because technology is huge. So you will be confused if you look at the internet that someday you will want, oh, I should go for cloud because this is upcoming area. Someday you will feel that, oh, I should go for AI because this is upcoming area. So therefore, there are many areas and it is quite confusing. Like me, I'm in 40 years, I'm in IT. So therefore, technology people, it will be very difficult. So therefore, this also is very important. I think where to learn, how to gain experience in system audit and security, etc. What will be the cost benefit? That is okay. Suppose, because chartered accountants first think of cost benefit. So suppose if I learn technology, suppose if I decide to go in system audit, what will be cost benefit? When will I break even? Right? So therefore, this is also important area. What about continuing professional education? I have to keep on learning. Okay, technology, because technology is changing. And how to change mindset. This is the most important thing, because you can do anything you can learn or anything you can do if your mindset is ready for that. Okay, it is not at all difficult. So let me throw some light on this. How to learn and which areas of technology should be learned. Now, I have listed here these areas: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are must. Okay, what are these? Please learn any one operating system. Okay, normally I would suggest Linux, but because Linux is quite cryptic and difficult, I am suggesting that you should learn a Windows Server operating system. Okay, that is how to install and how to administer. Okay, so this will require about maybe 2-3 months. Okay, you please remember that the objective is not to become expert, but the objective is to understand that how server administration happens. Okay, so therefore you have to learn one OS. You have to learn what is a web server. Okay, again, installation to administration of the web server. And there are web servers like Nginx and Apache and IIS. So preferably this is Windows web server, IIS. So you can learn a web server. I'm not going to the link now because of want of time. Coding, that is programming. Because ultimately technology means what? Application systems. Programmers are going to develop application systems which you are going to use. Correct? So preferably I would say Python you can learn. Now let me tell you, let me show you your institute's own program of Python, which is used for business analytics. That means your institute is also launching courses for coding. Okay, so therefore, and Python is very easy that way to learn. So therefore, learn coding via Python. How to develop website. Many of the chartered accountants in my class, they are already expert in WordPress or Joomla, etc. So those who are new, they can learn this how to make a website and so on. And any one database, I have suggested Microsoft SQL Server because that is easy to learn. So all this, if especially those who are young chartered accountants, I would suggest that first you have to learn these 5 things. Before going to any cloud, etc., just learn these 5 things to start with. Okay, because this is the basis of, or this is the foundation of all. This is like your debit, credit, journaling, general ledger, trial balance, bookkeeping. Okay, so this is bookkeeping of IT. So you have to learn this. Okay, don't go to any other courses unless you learn this. Now it depends on you. You may become expert, or you can just take an overview of what is an operating system and how it is managed and so on and so forth. Coding, you can take some overview, so that the objective is not to become administrator or not to become coder, but to know how the systems are coded, how the systems are administered, how the database is monitored, and so on. Okay. And you can use e-learning platform of institute, wherein lot of courses are available. I was surprised that so many courses your institute has launched, and taking a lot of effort. So therefore, please do this. Where to learn? E-learning platforms from ICAI. Other online education institutes like Udemy is another institute where cheap courses are available. Courses for 400 rupees, 700 rupees. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, okay, unnecessarily. Because generally what happens is that people are interested in the beginning, and then their interest immediately, goes away as soon as they start getting the difficulties. Or you can attend physical courses. This is very important, and your institute, I think, is trying in this area also. Getting mentors for guidance. Mentor means guru. Okay, because when you start learning, you face difficulties. And if those difficulties are not sorted immediately, then your interest goes away. Okay, so therefore, for DISA courses, we faculties are mentors, and we try to help the DISA aspiring students, for guiding them as to how to study, what is technology, and so on and so forth. So therefore, hand-holding support and this thing, your institute has it for DISA. I'm sure that for other areas also they must be having it. How to get experience? This is a famous chicken and egg story. Okay, so when you became CA, you must have faced this, that when you go for interview, they say you don't have experience. And you say that unless I work, how I'm going to get experience? Okay. So therefore, how to get experience in system audit? Many people ask me. What my suggestion is that start with your existing clients. As a CA, you are already in practice and you are supporting your client. Tell them that I'm going to do your system audit free of cost. Okay. Now, if anybody is asked, anybody is doing something free of cost, definitely they will entertain you. That is how Britishers introduced tea in India. So give them the 1 or 2 audits free of cost. Do you know that for ISO audits, you have to do 20 audits free of cost? Okay, 20 audits you have to do free of cost. So therefore, do some 2-3 audits free of cost, and so that they will be able to see the benefits of the system audit, and then you can slowly start your practice. If possible, join 3-4 CAs. They can join hand, and I have seen this CA firms. One of them can take some employment, or one of them can dedicate himself or herself for system audit area. Okay, you may take employment also in some audit firm. Okay, but financially it must be affordable. So therefore, 3-4 CAs, if they come together, one CA can dedicate and develop this particular practice. So you can get employed. All above may be possible. Whatever I have said, this is actually, I'm not age bias or I'm not any bias, but generally I'm saying that people who are less than or equal to 40, they may be motivated for doing this. Of course, I am myself is above 40, but if you are motivated, then nothing is impossible. But usually speaking, I feel that those who are less than 40, for them, it will be very beneficial. Collaborate with some IT audit or security firm. Okay, so that you can, may form separate company, for example, to become empaneled with certain, etc. And then you can, go into that particular practice area. What will be the cost benefit? Now, you are all CAs, so I don't have to tell you all these things. But generally, I tell that gestation period, of any new ventures, 5 years should be given. Honestly, give your 5 years of time. That's why I said less than 40 years of age. Honestly, give 5 years. Nothing happens within 5 years. So give 5 years of your career for practicing this in this area. And after 5 years, you will start looking at the benefits. This is another what you call as advice I give. Start teaching. Teaching is the best method to learn. Okay, so your institute requires faculties for ITT and advanced ITT, which are, you teach them your article people, they are doing this ITT and advanced ITT. So therefore you can try and they have a lot of good courses in ITT and advanced ITT, so that you will also learn and you will also be able to contribute. So therefore this is, since technology is ever increasing, even if you don't diversify in system audit, that means you decide to continue in practice, this, whatever I told you, will tremendously help in your existing area. You will understand what are the people, IT people are doing. And usually fees for system audits are generally more than your financial audits and so on. Of course, that depends on what is the audit and etc. Now, in IT audit area, CPE, continuing professional education, is very, very important because technology is changing every day. And therefore, we have to keep on learning, and this will happen automatically. Okay. This is once you undertake system audit career, this is going to happen because you will have an urge to learn. Mindset changing is also important because you are migrating from non-technical to technical mindset, and it's slightly there is a mental block, and therefore I have here a 2-minute rule for you, okay, which is considered as physics of productivity. So let me it's a very short video of a person. Okay, 1 second. I will have to share my 1 second. Sound also I will have to share.
Called the 2-minute rule. And the idea is to just take whatever habit you're trying to build and you scale it down to the first 2 minutes. I had a reader who did something similar to this. He ended up losing over 100 pounds. And one of the ways that he did it was he went to the gym, but he wasn't allowed to stay for longer than 5 minutes. So sounds kind of crazy, but for the first 6 weeks, he went and he showed up and he did like half an exercise, and then he would leave and go home. And to most people, they hear that and they're like, well, it's kind of ridiculous. You're wasting your time. You're not actually going to get in shape from that. But the point is, he was mastering the art of showing up. And a habit has to be established before it can be improved. Until you.
So this is called as a 2-minute rule. That means if you want to do now, new year is coming. So many of you might be definitely having some new year resolution, which will last till January 30 or so. But this 2-minute rule is that if you want to do something, don't bog down yourself with a lot of work. Just do it for 2 minutes. Suppose if you are going for gym, go only 2 minutes. Just go sit there and come back. Don't exercise also, but do it every day for 2 minutes, so that it will inculcate the habit of doing something, as he said, of doing something, and then slowly you can increase these 2 minutes to your 1 hour or 1 day or even more. So therefore, this is some ideas for mindset changing. These are IS audit challenges which are there, the actual challenges when you start IS audit. Delegation of authority and responsibility may not be clear in IT systems. Competent and trustworthy personnel is very important. System of authorization may not be perfect. Adequate document and records may not be there. For example, audit trail of transactions may not be there. Physical control over assets and records is not there because logically you possess some asset. Adequate management supervision may not be there because many a times the managers are old and they don't understand IT, and therefore they completely rely on junior or outsourced people. Independent checks on performance may not be possible. Comparing recorded accountability with assets may not be easily visible. Knowledge of RBI, SEBI, IRDA circulars is a challenge. So therefore, that is required. Understanding of organization structure of IT and security, etc., is very much essential. In today's world, this is one very challenge which we are facing. Lot of compartmentalization is there. And as an auditor, you are expected to know everything under the sun. So if you go and ask the developer that how you do this, he says, no, that is not my job. That is operations team job. When you go to operations and you ask some question, they say, no, this is database administration job. When you go to database administration, he may say that, no, this is system administration. So lot of compartmentalization is there. And because of the confidentiality, security and integrity, etc., people in one compartment know nothing of the other compartment. Whereas IS auditor has to know, or auditor for that matter, has to know everything from all the compartments. And therefore, auditor faces a lot of difficulties. And therefore, what kind of questioning and how he frames his question is very important. Heavy outsourcing is there. Fourth parties are there. Collecting evidence sometimes is very, very tricky. Okay. Because getting screenshots or getting, evidence is sometimes very tricky. Understanding what are the logs, that is also tricky. Mr. Narang has given me a notice that now I have to finish myself. So just give me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it will be over. So there are many types of logs.
It's all yours. So I'll wait till the time you are finished. Please, take it comfortably. So
okay.
No worry. So this
Thank
is just
you.
like,
that helps.
I have been here for the entire session. Just they wanted that am I here or not? So just turned on my video.
Okay, fine. That helps. Thank you very much. So operating system logs are there, application logs are there, server logs. Which logs? If you ask question to IT people that do you have logs? So they will ask you which logs you want. Okay. Every software there is a log. So therefore, what is your context? And and logs are usually very, very huge. So therefore, it is very difficult. Segregation of duties is a big problem in information technology. There may not be maker, checker, authorizer, 4I principle, 6I principle, etc. Reconciliation and settlement is a major area which is now coming up because of these aggregators and outsourcing, etc. Because the transaction happens in the bank, but that is processed by outsource and intermediaries, and therefore the bank or the company has to settle and reconcile. And this is major area, and I have found that many of the CAs also are confused in these areas. Exception reporting may not be adequate, or they may not be printing exception reports. Control reports may not be there, especially in this interfacing between the systems. For example, RBI wants straight through processing. That is, two systems, they should exchange data seamlessly without any manual intervention. That is called as a straight through processing. So that may not be there. One system downloads the data, then another system uploads the data. And therefore, there are chances of errors, omissions, and purposeful mistakes. A lot of tools chartered accountants and auditors may have to learn. Especially, you have to be good knowledge of Excel, Word, PowerPoint, CAT tools, SQL. So when I said that you have to learn database management system in which you will learn structured query language. So this will be helpful in data analysis also, plus in your audits also, financial audits also. All services under one roof is not possible. Okay, so therefore you can hire experts. So even if you decide that I will become expert in all the areas, it's impossible. And therefore you may have to hire experts, but then you will be responsible as a lead auditor to get the work done and report from the experts. You have to know a lot of IT lingo, just as in your accounts and finance also a lot of jargons are there. In IT, there are still many different jargons, and therefore you have to understand them. I have given here some of them. Okay, but you have to understand the IT jargons. Now, these are some terminologies which I have purposely given over here. Information systems is business processes and application system. Sometimes we use IS, sometimes we use IT. IT is generally for hardware. there are three lines of defense in companies: top management, middle management, lower management, and operations. So we have to audit all these three lines of defense. Nowadays, mostly in companies and banks, there is a separate IT department. Within IT also, there are application team and so on and so forth. There is a IT GR, risk and control. InfoSec department is separate. Security operations is separate. IT infrastructure is handled by a separate team. Facilities management system looks after data center and DR. DC and DR, application owner, application team, IT operations team, developers, production side, test side, development side, staging side, DBA, CISO. I have given the definitions of these people. So these are the terminologies which are used. So, and another thing, I forgot to mention one thing here, which I will show you now. This is the model IT organization chart, which have been suggested. So whenever you go for audit, and if you are auditing the organization structure of IT, you can refer to this chart and check whether the organization structure of where you are auditing is as per this or not. So this is my presentation. I hope that you all liked, and if you have any questions, then I think separate time is kept for the questions. So now I wish to stop and hand over to Shri C.A. Jagdish ji for the next course of action.
Thank you very much, sir, for this a lot of information. I hope all the members have received so much valuable information, like opportunity information system audit. I've seen that you have shown 15 opportunities, including migration audit, networking management, log reviews, MIS, ERP, and lot of. You've also suggested many useful courses, including projected management certification, PMP, Prince2, ISO 27000. Of course, there are challenges, but you have given this a wonderful rule of 2-minute rule, that go and sit in a gym for 2 minutes only. So this is very motivational. So I am very thankful to you, sir. And we have CA Rohit Naranji with us. Sir is a practicing chartered accountant in Amritsar. And sir also authored a book, Gift of Confidence, Miracles Can Happen Easily. So this is also in line with a 2 minutes rule. Miracle can happen easily. Master trainer in change management program of income tax department, and delivered lectures to CCIT, CIT, and additional CIT in different regions. Trained income tax official, including commissioner, chief commissioner on ITT application, consultant and master trainer in TRPs, faculty with DAB, ICA for DSA, FAFD course, and as a certified confidence life coach also. So it is our honor to listen from him. Sir, please start your deliberation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jagdish. And thank you, DAB, for providing this opportunity. So Avinash sir, thank you so much for a very detailed deliberation on the topic. So yesterday we had a word. So because the topic was allotted to both the faculties jointly. So sir said that I'm from the IT background, so I'll be covering that thing. So I told him that being a chartered accountant, I have devoted my time in the banking industry. Okay, so I'll just cover my thing from the banking industry side. So that basically most of the chartered accountants who are practicing, they get information system audit of the bank branches very easily. So that's where basically, so you face a lot of, you face challenges while going there and then, performing those system audits. So I think so we can start that thing. So I'll just share my presentation with you. Okay, right. So basically, I have titled it also Challenges in Information System Audit, Banking. Okay, so for banking, basically, we can divide it into two segments. One is like the bank branch audit, where most of the chartered accountants get this work. So as we can be a panel for multiple, or multiple types of audits. One of the audits is information system audit for the bank branches only. So now that's the work which most of the chartered accountants get very easily. but still basically it throws a number of challenges also. Why so? Why a number of challenges in performing this information system audit? Because the remuneration is not that much, and accordingly the time spent in the bank branches is also very less. But at the same time, then there is something which is basically whatever help you get from those bank managers and their staff members, it's very difficult for us to basically conduct this type of audit. So I will basically first let's cover that bank branch angle, and then later on we will cover some of the audits that we can perform in the banking industry. So as Gokhale sir has actually explained everything related to information system audit, what are the different areas? Most of those areas are very much relevant when we perform the information system audit of a bank at the head office level, you can say, where they have set up their servers, and then from where they are providing the services. So that's something that we can look on. So the first thing, when you go to the bank branch, so now what's basically what's the problem over there? So it's like the client's focus or those bank managers' focus is only on transactions. Now, what exactly is that? So let's understand with the help of an example. So whenever you go there and then you find out certain mistakes. So take an example. If there is something problematic with the ATM chargeback. So you will find certain transactions which are there in the chargeback. Now, what will happen? So the moment you point out these kind of certain things, and then you're just looking for the system from the system angle. So what happens is that they are just referring to those transactions, and they will tell you that, okay, fine enough. They are going to basically modify it. They are going to basically change it. They are going to correct it. Now, the trap here is we are there to audit their system, not the transaction only. So even if they rectify a single transaction, so this is just one single transaction I'm telling you. So probably once we are going there, so we have to look into probably more than 100 areas for the information system audit, even in a bank branch. So I'll be covering some of the areas. So because this is not a detailed deliberation. So some of the areas I'll be covering, but still the idea is that one example is like that ATM chargeback transaction is not our focus. Our focus is how basically people are going to set up a system which is a robust system, and it basically doesn't have that leverage to commit any type of mistake. So now nothing is error free. Of course, the errors are going to happen, but we will try our level best to audit that system and then point out the deficiencies in the system only. Then we will, proceed further. And then one thing basically Gokhale sir covered in the deliberation, that information system audit is not just related with the information technology aspect only. So yes, hardware is there, software is there, networking equipments are there. But apart from this, environmental, physical controls, and the human resource controls, everything needs to be checked. All the systems which are basically in relation to these kind of things, we need to check those kind of things. So the first step that you need to establish when you go for a bank branch information system audit is that you need to shift their focus from the transactions to the system. So we need to make them understand, sir, we are not here to point out your errors that on a transactional level. So we will be just pointing out, we will be just looking out for these kind of errors, and then we will be checking the system which is there to ensure that these errors don't happen. So this can be related to my IT related thing also. This can be related to a journal system which supports my IT also. So that's like the first thing that you people are supposed to do when you go for a bank branch audit. Many of you might have actually gone to these bank branch information system audits where basically you are facing these kind of problems. You just let them know, sir, these are the problems. And so it's very hard for them to understand that we will not be correcting these kind of things, because many a times what happens is that everybody in the banking industry, whenever a chartered accountant walks in, because we are going there for the concurrent audits and the statutory audits, and sometimes we are going for the revenue audits and other types of audits also. So we are going there, and then they have this mindset, these people will point out our mistakes, and then we are supposed to rectify those mistakes. But here the thing is that we are focusing on the system. So even if they correct a single transaction and then they rectify that mistake, so we should not be satisfied. Our satisfaction lies in modifying the system and then trying to find out what was the problem with the system, which basically resulted in this mistake, and then how we can improve this thing, how we can actually basically, either if there were guidelines, so we will just let those people know that these are the guidelines that you people are supposed to follow, and you were not following it. So that is where our reporting will be based on those kind of things only. So we will be reporting, once we will be reporting, we will not be reporting the transactions, we will be reporting the lapses in the system only. So that's something that you need to, basically our focus should also be like that. And also we need to establish this very in a very concrete manner to those bank managers and their staff, that yes, you are supposed to modify your system, not just a single transaction, etc. So that's something that before beginning anything, so you should be establishing this thing with them. Now, as you see so many, I'll be just taking some of the relevant examples in different control sections, and then letting you know about the different challenges we people face, and then what are these. So some of the things like in environmental controls. Now, I just actually, there are so many areas in every control section. So, but basically I have just pointed out 2 or 3 to the max 4, 5 sometimes. And then we will be just discussing those things so that you can understand then what exactly is the problem. So in environmental controls, so the location of the IT assets is like very important. So sometimes what happens is that in one of the branch buildings that I had gone for the information system audits, so it was basically supposed to be shifted to another branch. Now that's a very tricky thing. So the building in which the operations were being carried out, so what was happening? So that building was in a very bad situation, and there were seepages from the ceiling itself also. And in the server room and where these IT assets were located, so they were very prone to this moisture conditions. So that basically, as a system auditor, it's my duty to basically point out those kind of things. So location of the IT assets within the branch also. Sometimes we will think that this is like everybody takes care of their assets. But sometimes once you go to these bank branches, and you'll find out they have not placed the IT assets in such a manner where they can basically be protected, and then the controls should be good, environmental controls are there. So one such example, so that basically that branch was being audited earlier also, and every time I'll just ask the bank manager, so why you have done this thing, why you are not protecting this thing, why you are not getting it repaired. So there was only one simple answer: sir, within 3 months, so we will be shifting to the new building. And he kept on pushing me for the entire time, sir, let's please visit the new building, and then you can actually report accordingly. So that's not my thing. So because see, the idea is this, so we are carrying a huge risk. So what is the risk? Once you go there for the audit and I'm just signing that report, I am actually giving them a clean check on the basis of new building. So what's the purpose? So the idea there was I had to actually convince that bank manager and then let that person know that I will be reporting on today's thing only. So today you are sitting in this building. So my job is to report everything what you are doing right now. So that basically created a number of problems while I was conducting the audit. So my staff was not getting full support. Every time they had all of these kind of excuses. Now this is basically, once you go there as a chartered accountant who has not done an information system audit, so sometimes we don't actually look into these segments also. But as an information system auditor, we need to actually comment on these environmental controls also. Another example, so that I can quote you on location of IT assets, is like one of the very remote locations. In that remote location, it was sad and shocking also for me to see their server room was being used as the kitchen also. So not the full-fledged kitchen, but yes, they were having their small setup for heating up their food and everything also. You see how dangerous it is. So that is like where we need to actually comment on these environmental controls. And it becomes very difficult for us to explain to those people that now this is not acceptable at all at any level. So they will say, sir, we don't have. So they will keep on giving their excuses. So we just have 2 rooms. We just have 3 rooms in the branch. And that's the reason we don't have any space for doing this. That's the problem that they need to discuss with the management, not with us. As an IS auditor, so what we need to do is that whenever I am going there, so I need to actually be very sure about the environmental controls that are there. So location of the IT assets should be such that they are safe from all the hazards. So all the hazards means what? So basically all these water seepages. And now see, If it is located in an area, so yes, we can comment where basically floods might come, and then these kind of problems are there. So this is not something that I can correct, but at the same time, yes, for just a comment section, so we can say that the location is not good, so it is exposed to the natural disasters. So though it's there at the time of selection of the branches, and they have so many different criteria, but if I go there as an information system auditor, I need to actually mention those kind of things. So yes, location of the IT asset should be such that it doesn't pose any threats, like these floods and water seepages, etc., etc. I've given you one example, practical example that had happened with me. Another example of this server room and kitchen, that was basically very shocking for me also. But yes, these kind of things happen. Now, the next environmental control that we need to look for is the fire hazard preparation. Now, why I actually mentioned this in the segment, and why there is a challenge in auditing such thing. So what kind of things you might look for? For the fire hazard preparation, the very simple thing you might observe is that they will be having fire extinguishers. Okay. So now, if basically during our information system audit course also, so we explain different types of fire also, and then there are different types of control mechanisms from where we can actually perform all of these, how to control the fire in different situations, for dangerous liquids, for normal liquids, for IT related things, for electricity fires. So all of these categories, so they need to be looked into. So whenever I enter the branch, so if there are certain things which are I'm sure that everybody is aware of those kind of things. So even on the fire extinguishers, so the ABC type is written over there. So ABC type is basically based on the kind of fire that extinguisher can stop. So based on that thing, we need to check what kind of fire is possible over there. Okay. And if it is possible, and whether they have sufficient equipment, the first thing that is there, they have the sufficient equipment. And accordingly, so we, for stopping the fire, so we have different mechanisms. Like we have sprinklers. So water sprinklers, again, so there is like wet pipe, there is dry pipe. So there are different types of mechanism that we need to check. And at the same time, for these extinguishers, so there are different types of gases that are available. So what type of gases are hazardous to the humans also, because see, humans are present in that situation. So that's the reason we need to comment on those things accordingly. So, and even if they have the equipment, what is the training given to the person who is handling those things? Now, what is the challenge over here? So the first thing they will do, very simply, they will tell you, sir, we have fire extinguishers. So you go there, you query about these fire hazard preparations. So what they will do, so they will tell you that, okay, fine enough, we have these kind of equipments over there. Now the trick is, because yes, there might be a guideline, there might be a procedure that the person is trained on using those equipment. How many people are designated for that particular purpose? And after that, if there had been transferred, the new person has come, has he been trained on this particular thing or not? The security guards, they keep on changing. And the support staff that is there, generally in basically the problem lies in the suburban areas. So where the staff members are frequently changing, probably after say 6 months or a year, so they will hire a new support staff member on an ad hoc basis. So they are not on their role also, but they are dependent that this is the person who is going to basically handle that fire related problems. Even the guards they appoint. So sometimes they have the agreements with the security agencies. Sometimes they don't have those security arrangements. So then you need to actually look into those agreements, whether the guard has been provided with this fire hazard preparation security training or not. So in case it has not been done, then the problem will be on you. So because see, we are commenting, we are telling them, yes, the environmental controls are okay. So once we give a clean sheet on the information system audit, so these kind of controls, so they will create trouble for me also. So that's the reason we need to be very sure that if these kind of situations are there, so this is a challenge. This becomes a challenge. Why? The idea is that they don't understand it. So you are the one who is supposed to make them understand that this is the process and this is how you are supposed to, check for everything. Okay, so that's something that you need to look for. Now the next is like IT assets cleaning and protection procedures. So as far as this IT asset cleaning is concerned, so many times you go there and then you see that they don't have any procedure at all. So they have their assets. The normal person who is just doing this cleaning job, they don't understand. Sometimes they will use the pet clothes and these kind of things, and then they have the frequent problem of their all of those. Sometimes their systems stop working. Sometimes there is basically some short circuit kind of things also happening over there. So this is just because they don't have a proper IT asset cleaning and protection procedures. So as an IS auditor, so we need to look into who is the person who is taking care of, whether the staff member themselves are taking care of their IT assets, and most importantly, the branch server, the main machine which is connecting me to the main server. So how basically they are treating these kind of things. So all the IT assets, who is the person responsible for taking care about all of those kind of things. Now this again, so I told you that we will be just discussing the challenges only. So I'll not be discussing what need to be done and etc. etc. So the idea is that we will be discussing challenges. So in these three areas, the last one also, the challenge is there to make them understand that I'm not pointing out that you are not cleaning the asset. So I'm pointing out the person who is cleaning, whether he or she is aware of this thing, that what kind of hazards they can pose to the IT assets, and what is the different protection procedures. Now, what is protection procedure? Nowadays, you see, most of the systems, they are very robust, but at the same time, some of the assets need to be protected from dust also. So what kind of process they follow? So again, I told you in the previous slide, I established this fact that we need to understand we are there to check the system, not the event or the transaction. So that is where this situation becomes tricky. You ask them about these kind of things, they don't understand it, and then they will start defending you. Sir, no. So we are doing the cleaning. The person is not using any bed cloth any particular point of time. Then what to do? A very simple thing. You just go for their maintenance registers. So in the maintenance register, how many times their systems have gone to the vendor for repair, and what was the root cause? Most of the times, you will find out that the moisture was the root cause, and the system stopped working because they're not taking care of these kind of things. So that is the reason. So we need to actually make sure that whenever we go there, so we need to check the procedure, what kind of procedure they are following for, their cleaning and protection procedures only. So these are the three things in the environmental controls where I have personally faced challenges, difficulty in explaining to them that you need to check your systems only, you need to check your procedures only. The next one is like very important thing, which basically we all use for access controls and physical security. So for access control and physical security, there are different types of challenges available over there. So I think so there is some problem. Just a moment. So yes, now it's fine. So now the idea is this: three types of things I have mentioned over there: the user creation, permission, and records. So now most of the time the user creation is not handled at the branch, but yes, we need to comment on that also. So now that is a challenge. So that itself becomes a challenge. Any thing that is not within my authority, but in that branch manager's authority, and I'm supposed to comment on this. So they will have this very simple answer to it. Sir, this is handled by the head office or the regional office or any of the offices that are doing this particular thing. So for user creation, what kind of different kind of permissions are taken? So the branch manager who is basically authorizing any kind of modification in the user creation process, if he or she is involved in certain things, then what kind of things they are taking care? And even at the HR level, what kind of permissions they are taking? So that's where, because eventually the user is sitting in the bank branch and then using everything. So what kind of restrictions they have put on that particular thing? So that you need to look for. For this, they don't have records. So that's the main problem. So when you ask for them, then what's the user creation process? That then they say we don't, because we don't do it, so we don't have the records also. So that's a very simple answer they will give you. But the idea is this: once you go into the system, so you will find out all the user management related reports. So you go there, you check those management reports, and then you will find that the approval has been done by managers. In some of the banks, because bank to bank, this thing differs. But at the same time, the idea is that you need to actually look for these, permissions and records at the time of user creation only. Then for deactivation of the users, now this is a tricky situation. So the now user has, left the branch. So sometimes they use the term like sole ID. So they say that the sole ID has been changed. But at the same time, some of the functionalities, whether everything has been deactivated or not, again, this is not the responsibility of the branch manager to perform this action. But at the same time, whether any unauthorized activity has happened in that particular region, so that is where they need to kick in. And then as an IS auditor, I need to make sure that the users management is handled in a very effective manner. So deactivation of users should be, looked into properly. You see, at the head office level, so when they are basically creating these users and then performing all these kind of things, so that's a very different story. But in the branch, so it becomes a challenge because see, they put the onus of everything on either the system or the head office. So I'll tell you, so that you can relate the stuff. So once you go for the statutory audit or the concurrent audit, many of the things you will ask, sorry, this is done in the system only. So this is the common answer. This is done in the system only. But what about the system? So similarly here also, once they say that it is done by the head office, okay, fine enough, it is done by the head office, but is there any procedure? So what are the different actions that you are taking in making sure that users are created, authorized users are created, and their the permissions are checked also, and at the same time deactivation, you have requested a deactivation, whether deactivation has happened or not. So you are supposed to take onus of all the transactions happening in your branch. So if any unauthorized user is performing certain transactions in your branch, it may pose multiple threats to your branch functioning. So that is where you need to make them understand that what kind of system is established to make sure that no unauthorized person is allowed to pass a single transaction in your bank branch only. And this is the transition. That transition period creates problem. So the person has left this particular branch and then he has joined the next branch. So now just that transition period is very tricky. And then you'll find out that in case of frauds, many of the transactions are carried out in those transition periods only. So that is where the role of system auditor kicks in. So as a system auditor, even at the branch level, we need to make sure that the proper process is followed. So till the time the person has not transitioned properly, so everything should be monitored by the branch manager. So all the transaction committed for that particular user ID, so they have the reports, so where they can actually generate the reports, they can actually download the reports. So for this, as an IS auditor, to check how to check these kind of things, it's very simple. So you basically ask them the number of people who were transferred from their branch to other branch, and then go for the transaction committed by those IDs during that period. Okay. After the period they have left my branch, so then you will get the report where the transactions will be there. So if there are transactions, so those are not legit transactions, those are not supposed to happen. So that is where we need to actually comment on the system that the monitoring system is not there. So it becomes a challenge, because the reason is that they don't understand it. They say that, okay, fine enough, the person has shifted, this action will be performed by the head office or the people sitting in the systems only. So that is the reason they will give you an n number of excuses. But still, you need to make them understand this is your perspective. You need to take the onus of your branch activities, and then just give them these reports, and then make them aware about these kind of reports, where they can actually they will look at these reports and they're fascinated sometimes. Okay, fine, this kind of report exists only, and then they can actually monitor it, and then just make sure that they will be following this process. So what kind of things they will be doing after you leave that thing. So in case you need to mention it into your report, so definitely these kind of things will be mentioned in your report also. Okay, so the next is in the physical security segment. So I've just picked out one thing only: physical access to the networking equipments. Not many of these things. So of course, the physical security and access controls, it's a very vast topic. So even in our DISA module, so there is basically one particular chapter is dedicated for the environmental controls, physical security, and access control. Separately, the chapters are there, and then where we discuss a number of things in these kind of different kind of controls. But here, that physical access to the networking equipment, again, one relevant example so that you can understand. So what happens is that many a times when you visit any bank branch, so you will find out there is a equipment hanging at any particular wall in a box, where a number of wires, LAN wires are coming out. Okay, so now that is equipment, either it is a switch or a hub, depending on what type of what's the size of the branch. So that equipment needs to be protected. Why so? Because it's a very critical equipment. though they have put it in a cabinet, but the cabinet is 90% of the times in the bank branches that cabinet is open. Okay, so now the idea is this again. So I'm not there to. So they will say, okay, it's a very quick answer for them. So we will just point out, sir, you need to protect this thing. Why we need to protect this thing? Because it has the capability to shut down the functioning of the entire branch. So anybody accidentally turning off that switch or hub, so it's it should be protected also. It's electronic turn on and off switch also need to be protected, and also all the connected wires. If somebody just takes out the server wire, so the connectivity to all the systems in the branch, it will be troubled. Now, what is the challenge over here? So let's understand this thing. Yes, we understand this. This is a very important equipment. You point out this particular thing in your report, or before finalizing, we need to discuss the report with the branch manager. So that's the trick. So in the branch information system audit, we need to discuss it with the branch manager, and then they say that it has been thoroughly discussed, and then they have been given the opportunity to explain themselves. So you tell this thing or you report, mention it in your report. So they will say, sir, abhi chabi lagwa dete. So we will get the key and then get it locked. It's a very simple answer that they will give you. But then again, we need to comment on. So how they are making sure that this does not happen in the future. So what is the process? Are they maintaining any register where they are actually issuing that key to any person to open that box? And then again, after performing any kind of maintenance activities or any of these kind of activities, whether those keys have been taken or given back to the responsible people who are taking responsibility of that particular key. So that's the system that we are talking about. So basically, it's a very simple thing. So why I have actually picked this thing, because this is a very practical thing that you might see in every bank branch. So then you will be able to relate to this particular thing also. So physical access to the networking equipment. So this is one example that I've given you. Apart from that any of the networking equipment, so that should be covered also. So the next thing is password management. So now again, this is a very tricky thing. So many challenges are there in the password management segment while auditing these kind of things. So there are different types of passwords, and for each thing, how we will be basically testing on those things. So one is known as weak password. So this can be handled by the system also, but so many times if the system is not handling this thing, how you're going to cope up with this thing, then that poses a challenge. Because I'll just give you one example. So in one of the very prestigious, I'll not name that organization, in one of the very prestigious organizations, so their system didn't allow me to use a capital letter and a special character. So basically nowadays, to make it a strong password, so this is a very standard norm for so many years, not now decades, you can say that. So we need to have a combination of capital letters, small letters, number should be there, special characters should be there, and sometimes some weird combinations also to make it more and more stronger. So now the system is not allowing me to use those things. So this is something that I've experienced in using that organizational thing. So weak password. So as a chartered accountant, every auditor has that password assigned to him. So you just use that password, try changing it, and then you will come to know that whether this password is a weak password or not. And then in password management, some of the password like compromised passwords are there. What is compromised password? Which is either hacked by somebody or somebody has already exposed to the outer world. Or some of the known standard passwords also there, identical password and expired password, these kind of things. So you need to cover. So for each thing, so a report can be generated. Okay, so now gone are the days. So probably a decade ago. So then we need to actually report on these kind of weak passwords, etc., etc. But nowadays, system doesn't allow you to actually generate a weak password only. So it will say that you are not, even in our DISA course. So we have a manual where we let participants know that how in the system itself, in your even operating system itself, how we can actually enforce a password policy where we can actually have this strong password mechanism implemented, and then some other related things also we can look for. But now there are so many reports that can be generated within the system from where you can establish these things as a system auditor. So if I'm whether the people are changing the password or not. So there is a policy in the bank that their password must be changed every 30 days, okay, or 45 days, whatever the time it is. So bank to bank, it will vary. But how to check that thing? So yes, there is a report which will, from the branch manager's ID, so from where you can actually generate that report. It will just let you know how many people have changed their password in the previous month or that particular period. And then it will, we will cross verify with the policy whether they are following the password policy or not. Okay, so that is where this password management basically kicks in. And now they don't understand it. The problem is that the branch managers, most of the time, branch managers are not aware that these kind of reports are available. So that's the reason it becomes a challenge to explain to them that yes, you have those reports, you are supposed to monitor it also. Okay, so now again, they will say, sir, so I'll ask everybody to change the password. So no, that's not the purpose. The purpose is that establish a system that the report will be generated by you. So you will be commenting on that particular report, and you will be, kind of either some reporting or action should be taken by against the people who are not actually following that password policy. Sometimes it feels like that this is a very simple, small step. But the thing is, just think about this thing. Having a weak password for any of these kind of using a compromised password, the user is exposing the bank system to a much, larger threat. And as a system auditor for the branch, so if they are not following these things, I need to comment on that, whether they are having a good system to basically check whether the password policy has been adhered to or not. So that is where these kind of things have come into picture. Now in banking industry, so it's very difficult to use these tools, but still that this is just for the knowledge purpose, that there are certain tools which can audit passwords also. So on these parameters, so they can actually, you can use this thing. So there is Rainbow Crack, Kane Enable, WFuzz, Ncrack, and TSC Hydra. So now they all have their own things. Some of the passwords, so they will use the brute force attack to basically check whether the password can be hacked or not. So every tool has its own set, and then according to the situation, we can use any of these tools to implement and check those kind of things in any organization. Especially in the banking industry, also we can actually do this thing, provided that we have that kind of data available with us. Now the next is hardware controls. So in the hardware control segment, so what kind of things that we are having? So the vendor permissions are there. Okay. Now, what is this vendor permission? So first thing is that whether the vendor is approved or not, whosoever we allow to basically come into the branch, and we are giving access to my IT assets to that particular person, whether the vendor is authorized or not. That's the first thing. What kind of permissions we have given to that particular vendor? So we need to actually look into so many different type of documentation which allows those people to perform their duties within their sphere only. So this is basically that we don't want to give them additional privileges. Okay, so if they are exceeding their privileges, so they will have they will be basically creating some sort of trouble to the system only. So there have been so many. So one of the recent cases, not recent now, it's been again like 7-8 years now. So one of the cases in India where a very big cyber fraud happened. So that was just because of this reason. These kind of vendors entered into the server room, and then they installed a malware on the server, and eventually the server was compromised, and millions of dollars were siphoned off from the branch. So vendor permissions, they need to be checked. So what kind of vendors have come, and then what kind of vendors are allowed to check our system maintenance, whatever the maintenance agreements are there. So we need to be actually sure about their credibility also, and at the same time we should be very careful about what kind of permissions we are giving to that particular vendor. So in the hardware control section, now the challenge is that, so they will say, sir, no. The answer is very simple from their part. So they will say, no, sir, he's a very good person. He's a very good person. He's known to me, etc., etc., etc. But now, what kind of credibility check you have performed? Is there a system to perform that thing? Is there a system to establish their accountability? What kind of agreements have been signed with that particular person? All of these things we need to comment on. So that vendor permission segment is like you should be very careful about. The next is data protection procedures. So now, majority of the data is saved on the server. Okay, 99% of the data is saved on the server, but then some data is saved on the nodes also, the machines that are the computers that are being used by the staff members also. Or even just take your example. You go for a statutory audit or the concurrent audit. All the reports that you're saving in that particular machine, and the folders are created in that particular machine only. So yes, of course, if you're using the directory services, that's a separate angle, but still some data is stored on the local machines also. Now, whenever this local machine goes out, there are two types of data. One is like you are storing the transactional data. The second data is that once you're connecting to the server and everything is happening, all kind of security related things are also being stored in some sort of one way or another way in the cookies and in other stuff like that. Now, if somebody who understands how to actually misuse that particular type of data, it becomes very dangerous to basically hand over that data to them. So, what is the procedure? What is the data protection procedure followed by the bank branch? If they are sending any machines to the outside vendor for repair, then what kind of, whether we are removing those hard disks from the system so that they are, protecting it in case hard disks need to be repaired. So, what kind of process is there? So, are we getting some sort of agreement signed that they will not be misusing it? And so that we can just, establish some sort of accountability on them later on in case they commit some sort of fraud or etc. So we will be, we can take legal action against them also. So same thing happens at the time of disposal also. So what is this disposal thing? So in case, because see, as the technology goes out, but again, this is a problem. Disposal becomes a very big problem. So you go to these bank branches. So the next portion, the next point is asset reconciliation. Now, this asset reconciliation becomes a pain when there has not been asset disposal, especially in the segment of the systems, computer systems. So I have visited so many branches. In majority of the branches, so their records will say a different number of computer systems than they are actually using. Suppose they are using 30 systems in the branch, and their records in the system will say that they have 70 computer systems. It becomes very difficult again. So this becomes challenging also. So you will ask the branch manager, so no, sir, there must be some mistake. So that's the first answer that you get. The second thing is that once you say, then they will say, okay, fine. They will, start calling everybody, because see, these transfers in the branches, what happens is that the transfers happen on a very frequent basis. So probably after 2 years, within a span of years, say 2 years, the branch manager is changed, the staff is changed. So then they'll start calling everybody. So where are the systems? Where are the systems? And one person who is there for some very support kind of work, he will say, sir, in the storeroom there are some systems lying. You go there, and then what will happen? You will see that the systems are there, but to your surprise, you will find many a times the CPUs are not there. That is where this data protection procedures come into picture, and then you need to make sure that the people are protecting the data, because see, that data is very critical, so it can be misused by anybody. So somebody who has the understanding of how critical this data is, so they will be basically misusing it to the next extent. So that is where this thing comes into picture. And asset reconciliation it's again like in the hardware control segment. So we need to make sure that the system is in place to reconcile the assets on periodical basis. Now, what is periodical basis? So sometime or periodical basis or on happening of an event also. So there should be a system established within the branch also. So whenever some new asset is acquired, they need to make sure that okay, final reconciliation is done, or after every 3 months or 6 months. So depending on they have this excuse that staff is not available. But then you need to make sure that there is a system which reconciles the assets, because see, one asset gone missing will create a number of problems. And then in many of the branches, I had to report very, in a very strict manner that the manager had never taken care of these kind of things. So more than 50% of the systems, they never had the CPUs which were dumped into the storeroom. They just had the monitors. So they were just showing me the monitors, the systems that we are having. Sir, it's done. So we have checked all there. You have just given me the monitors. So where are the CPUs? Because it's the old system, so they had everything. So monitors were different. Monitors were there. CPUs were there. And then again, so many different things were there. So they will show you some part. For them, monitor is the system. So either they act crazy or they are not aware of this thing. But still, you need to make sure and tell them let them know that this is your responsibility to basically check for all of these kind of things. And for this data protection procedures, again, this is the problem. They might have actually undergone the training also. They might be, knowledgeable people also. Because see, nowadays, most of the branch managers, the new branch managers that are coming, they are coming from this probationary officer route, and then they are young people. So they understand this data protection and other thing. But the idea is that because they are so overburdened, they never think about these kind of things. So that's where this problem starts. And then what happens is that then you need to make them aware that this is your responsibility. In case some data misuse is from your end, and then later on it is established, it will go to your records only. Nobody else will be, troubled. And as an IAS auditor, I need to comment on that present situation, what kind of actions they are taking on that particular angle. So that's where you need to actually make sure that data protection procedures for repair and disposal are in place. And as far as reconciliation is concerned, I've given one example so that you can understand that this can create a very problematic situation, and this poses challenge to us. Now, the next thing is communication controls. So in the communication controls, so we have discussed about that network equipment protection also in one segment. Now, the communication is very important because nowadays nothing is happening within the branch. If the data, the moment the transaction is entered, it goes to the main server. So then the communication becomes very important, and controlling that communication, it's also very important. So ad hoc, management of these kind of things is done by the branches at their level. So, but there is no proper system. Although the bank provides a very detailed guideline to the branches how to manage all of these things, but still they are not actually doing this thing in a good manner. So that is where you need to understand that some of the things like network equipment labeling. So now, yes, labeling is there. What kind of labeling is there? Systems will be labeled. Some other assets will be labeled. So these kind of things are there. But why I mentioned this thing, their network equipments are not, labeled properly. Okay, so they will have so many different. So they will not understand this thing. They will say, "Sir, whether it is required. So do we need to do this or not?" Now that is more important. Why it is more important? So there is something called. So we need to create a cable map. Okay, so that cable map is very important. So where all the connections from that switch, which is connecting the server to the main server, and then again. So what is the map where they are actually putting the all of these what you can say, that cables, how the cables are manned in the entire branch, how they are put across the different areas. So they need to actually have a proper map for that particular thing. So once you go there and then ask you whether you are having that particular map where this thing is there, they will say, just we had done this thing. So they will just show you one invoice. So that becomes a challenge to make them understand what is the importance of this particular thing. To take an example, so if the network connectivity of one particular machine goes off, the vendor comes in, they will start randomly checking that thing. They are not labeled properly. Each wire need to be labeled properly. Data cable need to be labeled properly. So both the ends, they need to be labeled in such a way. They need to have a map from where they can actually look into this thing, that yes, this wire connects the switch to the node 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So they need to have a proper labeling procedure going on for that particular thing. So in case it is not there, so it creates very big problem, because it becomes a circus in that particular area. So their one system is shut, the vendor comes, and then slowly, steadily, everybody starts complaining, my system is also shut, because they don't have that proper map. So that's the importance of that particular map. So system should be there for handling these kind of things. In case there is some discrepancy, you need to make them aware that it is not tolerable, and then you need to actually establish that particular system for going through these kind of things. Then for this remote login services management, so now again, this is like a very big problem. In earlier days, it was kind of like trying to have these kind of login services into the banking industry. But nowadays, most of the IT department in the banking also, so they need to manage many of the things through remote login services only. So why it poses challenge? Because they don't understand when to turn it on and turn it off. Even if their own internal bank staff is basically using this service, So whether they are disabling it properly or not, what is the procedure, what is the system for managing this thing? Because see, allowing the remote access to my systems, especially the banking system, it's very problematic thing. So that's where this. So many times you must have seen during the audits nowadays for the past few years, probably say 5-6 years, many banks have started implementing this thing, that you are supposed to sign your reports, upload this reports, your audit reports into the system, and sign your reports digitally only. So almost every bank is now moving in that direction, and then only few banks are left who are not using this thing, and majority of the banks are using this. So at the time of once you are doing that thing, your DSC is being installed. Now it's a very cumbersome process. Even if somebody who understands IT, it becomes very difficult to actually use their digital signatures on that particular machine. Okay, so very crazy kind of settings are there where somebody has misconfigured it. And due to that misconfiguration, you are not able to use it. So these kind of things happen. So now you must have actually witnessed it also, that they are allowing their systems access to their vendor, the vendor who is an outside vendor. He is sitting at his home, providing you service at the 11th hour from his laptop, and then he is getting access to the banking server also. Now this is a very tricky situation. So that is where you basically need to make sure that a proper system is there to whom these kind of things are, these services are available. After usage, whether this has been disabled onto the particular system or not, what is the process to make sure that everything is happening as per the guidelines? So now it becomes a challenge, because they will say, sir, it's very simple thing. So we have used this thing, it is stopped, done. But at the back end, so that service is still running. Okay, so that you need to understand, that you are supposed to make them understand that this is a problematic thing, and then you need to actually rectify it. Okay. The next is very simple. It's not related to the technical thing, but it's like help desk contact management. This help desk contact management, why it is important? Because see, what happens is, in many of the branches that you visit, there is only one or two people who are having access to these kind of contacts. So whenever some problem occurs, because see, there are multiple vendors for every service, then what happens? What will happen? If the main people, the two people who are having access to these contacts, they are not there, the branch is shut. They will not function. So they will give excuses to their customer. The functioning will not be there. For me, as a system auditor, I need to comment on these things also, whether these are readily available to everybody, whether they are actually looking after these things or not. So then its management, it's very important. So help desk contact management is a very important thing that you need to look into. The challenge is that they will say, okay, sir. They will plug in, pull in their diary, and then say that I have very securely noted everything over there. But the thing is that they need to communicate it with everybody around, and then that's where this thing comes into picture. Okay. Now, the next segment is basically the data integrity controls. So now, what is the data integrity controls? So once the reports are being generated within the system, what is the mechanism of downloading those reports? Who can actually modify those reports? After modification, whether those reports, because before being communicated to other people, if it is in an editable mode, so what is the process to make sure that nobody is basically modifying those reports? Because see, I'll just tell you again, so that it can be an eye opener for you also. So many people in the banking industry, because see, they understand this, that the reports generated can be altered. So what they will do? So take an example. So we can take the example of the statutory audit so that you can understand. So in the statutory audit, so you ask them for a particular report of non-performing assets, or some other reports where all the list of advances is also given up to you. So in that report, what happens is that they will first modify those reports. They will make sure that the control totals are matching, and you can be fooled easily. So now this happens to the external party when they are providing the information. I just gave you this example so that you can understand this thing, that these kind of things happen in the banking industry. But now the idea is that one of the branch managers, he was fascinated when I used basically I never trust single reports. So they will modify the reports, so they know that these are the accounts from where basically they don't want to create trouble to those accounts. So they favor those customers, and they will change certain things, certain parameters, so that you are not able to report those accounts. So what my nature is that even if those reports are there, so I will use very simple lookup commands in the Excel to match the data. So whenever, because see, they might be smart in giving me the data, modifying the data, but at the same time, if there are multiple reports, I'll just use the lookup command to make sure that the data whatever is coming to me has not been played with. Now this, as an external person, I'll be doing this thing. But for data integrity, so what kind of controls are there? So that's one segment. And another segment is that, so now what is the possibility of using the devices, like external devices? So if somebody is using the external devices to play with some sort of thing, take away the data. So again, so that becomes a very problematic thing. So usage of all of these kind of devices should be prohibited. And what's the process? Whether the ports are blocked or not. So all of these things basically that you need to basically look into for this data integrity control segment also. Okay, then the software controls. Now for software controls, Gokhale sir has already commented on this thing, that the licensing is should be checked for. So only licensed applications should be used in any of the environments. So in the banking segment, though they are not using, nowadays the things are changing. But the earlier, if you just go back, probably say 15, not 15 years, 10 years back, a decade back, you can say. So a decade back, it was a very big problem. Even in the banking industry, they had the softwares which were not licensed. So even if they have the license for say one system or two systems, they're using it on 15, 20 systems only. So that is basically where the problems start happening. And even the things that the Gokhale sir discussed about the patch management and the other stuff. So it is very evident that the patches were not there. Even for their operating system, patches were not there. And even for, so take an example for all of these antivirus softwares also. So till the time there was manual intervention, the definitions were not updated, and these kind of things created a number of problems for us also. So that is where you need to actually discuss these things. Then the application system controls. So now in application system controls, all the that maker checker thing and everything. So how they are actually dealing with these application systems within my application, what kind of controls are implemented, they don't understand it. So that is the challenge. So we are just discussing, we are not discussing the application system controls or software controls or these controls. The idea is that what kind of challenges we will be facing. You go there and then you just start asking questions about why this is allowed to a particular designated officer, which as per the bank guideline, so this should not be allowed to this person. So one very simple example is, so that interest rate modification. So many till good amount of time, bank managers played with this thing within the system. So they as per the guidelines, they should not have the access to modify the interest rate of the new user. But in their screen that was available, and then they used to modify those interest rates also. Now, after discovery of these kind of things, and etc., people started modifying within the application system also. So these things went to the regional offices, and eventually those controls were implemented properly. But as a system auditor, so I need to actually just look at some of the samples where I can actually let those people know that yes, these are the designated officers which are operating beyond their powers. Now, this is like within the software, it is not my. We will think that it is not my. It is not within my preview to audit these kind of things. So this is a separate application audit that we are talking about. But within the branch also, some of the systems, so you just generate certain reports, and then with your knowledge, it that with the banking knowledge that everybody has, that these things should not be performed at a clerical level, but that clerical person is performing those tasks. So in the system, so whenever you are facing, looking at these kind of systems, so then you need to actually make sure that the things are okay. So then maintenance and business continuity controls. Now, this is like a very tricky thing again. So why tricky? What are the challenges in this maintenance and business continuity controls? So most of the things, all the EMC related things that are there, all the annual maintenance contract things that are happening over here. So what will happen? So everybody will basically, the branch manager will tell you, sir, this is done at the head office level. So for this insurance, this is done at the head office level. For the agreement with the security vendor, this is done at the head office level. So very simple answer to them. Yes, it might be done at the head office level, but there is some branch intervention that should be there. Some approval from the branch manager is there for a particular, so just for the security thing, we can actually comment on. Once the security guard is appointed, to check and to verify that he is capable of many things. One of the very small things that I can actually tell you about this is in the maintenance segment and this business continuity controls, the people who they are, taking on as a vendor, they are taking, getting their services for the organization. So some of the certifications are required before they can perform the duties also, okay, for maintenance activities. Now, those certifications are not available with the person who is coming to the job in the bank branch. Okay, so that creates a very big problem for us. Okay, so they are saying that this is done at the head office level, but eventually that agreement, even if that vendor was appointed by the head office and he is sending some of the staff members to perform certain activities, but has he undergone, the person who is coming to your organization, has he undergone certain certifications or not before he can actually perform those kind of maintenance activities in your branch? So that is where it becomes very tricky to make them understand that no, this is not, this is not a very simple thing. So you need to actually look into this matter and then rectify any of the things that can be rectified at your end. Establish a proper system and then move forward also. Okay. The next thing is maintenance and checking of registers. Now this is again, so many times all of these kind of I just pointed out three things over here. These registers are not available. So many of the branches you will go there and then these registers are not available. There are two angles to it. One angle is this, that sometimes it might be possible that they don't have the system to log on to these kind of problems into their applications. So that is one angle. Second thing is that these kind of problems need to be reported into their systems only. So they have different applications where they are supposed to punch in the details into the system. Okay. So now it becomes a challenge because see, they will say, sir, there is no problem at all. So everything is working fine, etc., etc., etc. Now, how to check it? So the very simple thing is that so that downtime can be recorded from many of the reports which can be generated from the system only. So once you generate that report and let those people know that your systems were down for these particular time. So different systems are down for this particular period. So it might include some of the environmental things, some of the other things, any of the systems. So any of those things will, once you provide that downtime recording reports, so they will come to know, okay, fine enough, yes, they will admit. First, they will admit. So the challenge is that firstly, they will not admit. To make them, aware about this thing, you need to actually show them certain reports. Go there, generate the reports, show them the reports. Once they come to know that, okay, fine enough, these reports are available with us, then they will say, sir, so we have not now. We have not recorded it, but we have get it, corrected then and there only. Then that, meantime to repair, MTTR, that you need to calculate. So once you, calculate that meantime to repair, so what will happen? So then again, that picture will be presented to those managers. So then they will understand, okay, fine enough, there is a problem in the process. So we need to make sure that just a recording of these facts makes sure that we can improve our systems. So in case my mean time to repair is like high, then how we can actually make it low? And mean time between failure, MTBF, there is another parameter, mean time between failure. So in case we are calculating that thing, so if the machine is faulty and if the system, anything that we have done doesn't need to be replaced or something like that, so that is where these kind will be calculated. But the thing is that they start defending it. So that's a challenge. So that's a problem by performing the information system audit in this area. So they start defending it. The idea is that they should not defend it. They should actually know. So then my way is that I'll just make that person understand this is for your benefit only. Just give me a proper thing. Then yes, then they will take out, if it is a manual thing, so they will take out these registers. So software problem register, downtime recording register, or vendor visit register, these kind of registers are available with them. No, the names will be different sometimes, like some downtime recording register, they will have some different name, but more or less the purpose is that we need to record these facts. So they will, have these registers, and then no entries will be made. So we need to comment on that there is a system in place, but they are not following it. So that is one thing. And then the next thing is that within the system also, if you go into the system, so what will happen? So the idea is this, and once you enter their system, you will come to know that they are not logged onto the system. They are not aware about those systems where they are supposed to punch in all of these kind of things. Then you need to comment. What kind of comment we need to do on this particular thing? That if the manager is not admitting that he was aware about this thing, so then we need to recommend some sort of training that the manager or the whatever the designated staff needs to undergo the training where they are made aware about all of their duties also. Because see, this is one of their duties to report these things, either the manager or his staff only. So they need to actually report these things. So once once you go through these registers, even if they are maintained, so then you come to know that whether they have reported everything or not. Sometimes just for the saving the skin of the people who are working because they have good licensing with them or ABC reasons, so they want to protect them. So that is where you need to actually kick in, let them know that this is not something that you can do, because see, everything is getting recorded into the system only, and it will land you in trouble. And in case I don't report, I will also land in trouble. So that is where basically we need to actually look into these kind of things. That software problem register, downtime recording register is there, and the next thing is vendor visit register. They will say that it has been performed, but if proper record was not maintained, so it will create trouble. It will create some sort of trouble also. Okay, so that is where basically this vendor visit register, again, they will not have the what kind of activities he was supposed to perform, what kind of records he was supposed to maintain, what kind of parameters he was supposed to report. All of those things we need to actually cross verify and then make them aware about these kind of things, that whether these things are in place, the system is in place or not. Okay. So then the next thing is user awareness, the kind of things that everybody should be aware. So so many things they should be aware, but they are not. So that's the reason some of the things, like in case CBS work has stopped, and then what are the restarting procedures? Are they aware about those restarting procedures or not? Now, my job is not to comment on their knowledge if they have done it properly or not. My thing is that, are they aware about those procedures or not? If they are not aware, so that's where I need to actually recommend training also. Okay. So then we have this IT security procedural guidelines. So now this again is a very tricky situation. So people are not aware about this thing. So let me tell you. So this becomes a very huge challenge. So they don't understand IT security procedural guidelines. So you need to make them aware about those guidelines. Then you need to assess also whether these people are capable enough for handling these kind of things. And then if they don't understand these kind of things, so then have they undergone certain trainings or not? So then you need to actually check also. So my job is that to verify whether there is a process in the bank that they are undergoing training, which of course it is there. So they are going for the trainings. But once they are on the training, what is happening? They are not actually attending those trainings properly. So then what kind of assessments was being done? After they come on job, was it the duty of the branch manager to assess that training also or not? Or the assessment was done at their end only? So all of these kind of things that you need to actually basically comment on, and then let the in your report you need to mention that whether it has been assessed properly or not. Okay, so that is where this whole user awareness thing comes into picture. Okay, so with this, basically, so we have covered the bank. so many different angles also. But the idea is that I thought that within the permissible time, this should be enough. So another angle that at the beginning I told you, that sometimes what happens is, if not, you are going for a banking audit assignment. So at the head office level, what kind of things you can actually go through? So at the head office level, one of the things again Gokhale sir mentioned about was the application audit. Okay, in the application audit, so what kind of things will be there? So I'll just make it clean so that it's not there. Okay, so what exactly is basically that application system audit doing over there? One of the name of the audit that Gokhale sir mentioned was that migration audit. Okay, so I'll just give you one example so that you can understand in the banking industry what kind of impact that migration audit has. Now, even though most of the banks have shifted to the core banking softwares or the solutions, whatever name we call it, so that CBS they have shifted, but the problem is still they are having the migration of their data was not done properly, and what kind of impact it has on their revenues also. So that is a very big problematic area. Now, what kind of problematic area we are talking about? So during the migration, what happens is that they, a very small example. So this is in one of my assignments, I basically came across this particular thing. The team who was working on the migration process, they were not aware about the categories of the customers in a particular bank. Okay, so for them, example, an individual who is opening a saving bank account or a current account, so that they thought that we can do this thing. So for them, that individual and a sole proprietor account, they put it into the same category. Okay, so now it's a very tricky situation. So tricky situation, why? Because see, if there was a process to assess this particular thing, the person was not capable enough to understand that there is a difference between an individual account and a sole proprietor account, and what kind of impact it had. So it can have, you can say that in those migration situations. So that is where all the chartered accountants come very handy. It is like what happens is that the person who is actually using that thing, many of the banks, they have this policy of charging low non-maintenance charges, non-balance maintenance charges into the account in case of individuals than in case of sole proprietorship accounts. Now, what will happen? And then the amount is like, if they are charging 750 rupees per quarter for average balance maintenance, non-maintenance, they are charging, say, only 500 rupees or less in an individual account. Okay. So now what will happen? So that it is hitting the revenue by 1/3. So they are charging less charges, and the impact it will have, you see, all the bank, the entire bank, so they will be charging less maintenance charges. That is where this migration audits becomes very important. Okay. Now, why I'm pointing this out while discussing this particular thing? So many times you might come across these kind of situations in your small assignments also, even in your statutory assignments, even in your revenue audit assignments, because you're checking for the revenue, or any of the other concurrent audit assignments where you are checking for certain things and you come across a very simple incident where what happens is that you are just looking at a single transaction. So from where I started my slide, you're looking at a single transaction where the maintenance charges are charged less. Okay, so now my idea as a system auditor, because if you have that bent of mind, so as a system auditor, so you will go and check what are the different parameters which are defining this particular charges. You go to the circulars, you check that what are the circulars, why, what amount of, just to make sure that everything is aligned with the thought. So you check that these circulars are there. So we are verifying those things. After you have verified, so you come to know that these are the system is charging less charges. So start increasing the size of your sample. So that is where, so you will come to know that it is a problem with the system only. And that is a time where you can actually write a letter to the main people in the IT department, and then you can actually pitch yourself also that I'm capable enough of performing these types of audits. So in case you allow me, so we can actually work on this together also. But these kind of incidents, they come across, and then you see this is the scope of the migration audit. So in the banking industry, it becomes very humongous. The impact is very humongous. Just because Gokhale sir mentioned this thing, so I just instantly clicked that yes, this is something that we can actually pitch, and then we can get some sort of work over here also. So that these kind of incidents will be there in the banking segment, and similarly some other problems are also there. So that interest rate modification, and then the rights modification also, all of these things are handled at the head office level only. So at the head office level, if in case you people are working with them, so now most of the things that can be rectified at their level only. So you go there and then you can pitch these kind of items over there, and then eventually everything will be very good, right? So I think so that's all from my side also. Okay, so because I thought that there will be some question answers thing, so let's hand it over to Jagdish ji.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir, there are some questions. So I will take one by one. Sir, first question is from CA Priyanka Purohit from New Panvel. Good evening. To start a career in information system audit, which all courses certification are must to do for a CA fresher? I think during session, Gokhale sir has also suggested some courses. If you would like to add something more, please add, sir.
Yeah, I think DISA is the foremost that you must do. Because just attending DISA course lectures, you will understand a very good knowledge about the various IT terminologies and so on and so forth. So I think getting DISA certificate is the first thing. Once you get the DISA certificate, then you can, depending on which area you want to go, you can, as I said, that one operating system, one coding language, one database management system. If you learn, it will be helpful for your financial audits also.
And another question is from Sumit Jain from Jaipur. He's asking, for source code audit, coding knowledge is must?
Yeah. Source code audit, coding knowledge, not only coding knowledge, but system design analysis knowledge is also much. And source code in which language, that knowledge is also important. Suppose if I am expert in Java and the source code is written in, say, some other language, C++ or Perl or something else, then probably I may not be able to do that source code audit. So source code audit, you are familiar with which source code, that is also important.
One question from Ramachandran Balasubramaniam from Chennai. Sir, can you elaborate on privacy audit in the IT system context?
Okay. Privacy audit is the personal data is considered as a privacy data, like PAN number, Aadhaar card, name of the person, then photo. So many items or data elements can be considered as privacy. And for privacy audit is a totally separate audit, because data security is different and privacy is different. And data is spread not only in data is there in emails, in logs, everywhere. So to find out where the privacy data is located in backups also is very, very tricky. And all that, checking all that is privacy audit. And many companies are struggling for, ensuring data privacy. Now in India, after the bill is passed, Indian companies also will be struggling to conduct the privacy audit, but that is an upcoming area. So I don't think our institute has any certification for that. I'm not sure about that. But ISACA has a certification called as Certified Data Privacy Solution Engineer, CDPAC. So you can go for that.
One question is from Vikas Dwivedi. Sir, are there areas or domain where ISA or BCP is mandatory, like banking or specific manufacturing unit or any other?
Yeah, RBI, SEBI, if you read RBI circular, SEBI circular, IRDA circulars, DISA, CISA or CERTIN, these three certifications are mandatory. You have to be either DISA, you have to be either CISA, you have to be CERTIN, or there is another certificate called as CISM, Certified Information Security Manager. These are a must. You can read any RBI circulars, SEBI circulars, or IRDA circulars also.
And the question from the same member, sir, CA, CISA, and PMP all put together are costly to maintain and also require time for CP. Any tips for time management or
Yes,
cost?
yes. You can start with DISA, which is cheaper than CISA. And if you are motivated and if you feel that there are benefits, you are getting audits, then you can, go for CISA, which is costly. And PMP is not that costly, but project management is a very, very essential certificate for CAs, and CAs lack in project management. That is what is my experience.
One question is from Sir Sunil Ji from Coimbatore. Can a practicing CA do ISO 27001 certification if he is a ISO certified auditor?
Yes. If he is a ISO certified auditor, 27001, and if he has done lead auditor's course, then after some, there are some requirements. After that, he or she can do ISO 27001 or any ISO audits. You have to become first pass the exam. And there are, certain conditions. For example, you have to first be a member of the team, then you have to do some 10 or 15 audits free, etc., and then you become a lead auditor. But these audits are 2-3 days, 4 days audits. So I recommend that if you do ISO 27001, especially ISMS, that would be helpful.
Okay. One question is from Ratan Singh Tanwarji from Bhilwara. Sir, how can we grab this opportunity? How we can grab this opportunity?
As I mentioned, keep on jumping, keep on doing certifications, and DISA certificate is the first one. You have to decide, there is a goal and there is an objective. You have to decide what is your goal. Goal is generally long term. So 5 years hence, what you want to become, then break that goal into a number of objectives and then slowly try to achieve the objectives. Follow the 2-minute rule.
Yeah. One question is from Raju S. Narayana from Delhi. How to excel in IT security baseline?
Again, as I said, first you have to pass DISA. Understand the DISA, audit, understand IT, understand, if possible, learn OS, coding and database management system. And then you can go ahead.
Sir, Vikas ji earlier asked a question regarding CA, CISA or PMP. He is asking for time management. He has he already have this certification, all the 3 certification. But his question is that he requires CPR for all the courses, so he's not able to manage his time. So can you?
No, so you have attended this webinar. You can claim CP for that. See, self-learning is also allowed in PMP and CISA. Even DISA, I believe that unstructured and structured CPs are there. So you keep on learning, you attend the training courses. Self-learning is also allowed. If you work as a volunteer, that also is counted as a CP. If you read the various CP categories, I don't think CP try to teaching ITT and advanced ITT people you can teach. You can earn CP for your teaching.
And last question from Sonalji from Sangli. VAPT audit for CBS system in banking. How to conduct VAPT audit? What tools are available for VAPT audit?
Well, for chartered accountant, generally VAPT audit will be a bit difficult because you have to know the Linux internals, Windows internals, and Unix internals, and so many other things. And a lot of VAPT tools are available. Some are free. For example, Nessus is one such tool which is available free. There are many, but for chartered accountants, as I said, that if you are technically motivated and passionate about technology, you can do that.
Sir, we have received some more questions. Scope in cloud computing for CA. Question from Smith Jainji. Scope in cloud computing for CAs.
See, cloud computing is going to be the future, because many banks are also moving, and small cooperative banks have already moved to cloud computing. Therefore, if you learn generic cloud computing courses or AWS, Azure, etc., that would be really helpful. But these courses are very big courses. So my suggestion to you is that go to e-learning platform of institute, and there you will have some courses. Or Udemy, you will have very cheap courses, 400 rupees, 700 rupees. So rather than, enrolling for 35,000, 40,000 rupees and then, not completing that, instead of that, you can do some cheap courses and you can learn that.
Okay, sir. And sir, there is a question from Kochi, from V. Subramaniam. Sir, there were instances where some entities were maintaining two sets of record in computer system, one made specifically for auditors, regulators, and another factual real records for management or owner. Fraud was committed, which was not detected by auditor.
Oh, I don't think in banking this is now possible. Only homegrown or in-house systems, this may be possible, but banking and SAP and ERP systems, it's not possible. Maybe in Tally, etc., that may be possible. I'm not aware about Tally, but double records now almost is, you can say that it's a very rare chance. I mean, you as a CAs, you are better, but in banking and SAP and all these good platforms, it is not possible now. 20 years back, yes, it was possible.
One question is from Smith Jainji from Jaipur. Uses of ports in bank computer system, like for pen drive, risk in these ports for banks.
Yeah, but nowadays mostly these USB ports are disabled, or even if they are enabled, you can have controls in your antivirus software wherein only particular serial number USB drive, only if you attach, you can take the data. So there are a lot of controls now centralized server are implemented in the branches as well as the banks. So you have to, I mean, this topic is very vast. So therefore, but there are controls nowadays, and mostly pen drives are disabled or controlled, not disabled. If they are not disabled, because for some genuine business operation, you require a pen drive to be connected and take the data. But then there through software, centralized software control, it can be controlled.
If I may add. So
yeah, sure.
So, sir, it's basically as a system auditor for the branch only. So you go there and you find out that there are certain lapses. Okay. Yeah. So my job is just to comment on the system that they are having. So that's basically, if the question, they have actually gone, come across certain incidents where they have used the USB. And then what were the guidelines from the bank that they should have implemented? And which party has not performed this duty, and then this was allowed. So that is where we need to report these things. Correct. Controls are there, and most of the banks, what happens is that once we go there, so guidelines are there, and they have actually implemented these things. But due to ABC reasons, either somebody has requested for that kind of usage, and then that lapse is there. So we just need to actually go through and then examine the system, why it has happened, and then eventually comment on that particular thing. I think so that question, the person who has asked, has come across one incident only. And because in my session, why I was actually putting so much emphasis on this particular thing, as chartered accountants, we have this habit of going there and then reporting incidents only. Okay, whether we are just, we should be commenting on the system. And that's where this whole thing will come into picture, right?
So all the questions have been taken. So it was a very wonderful session. Avinash Gokhale sir has taken all the technical session, and Rohit Narang sir has taken in the perspective of banking audit, which is so I think all the members have learned a lot from this session. So thank you very much, Avinash Gokhale sir. Thank you very much, sir. Rohit Narang sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.